Good morning in beautiful Music City, USA, and welcome to your Thursday here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, where DeAndre Hopkins is scheduled to come to Tennessee this weekend. Mike Vrabel discusses it. Traylon Burks says he likes the guys we have here, and we've got 4 hours to take your reaction as well at 615-737-1045. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Alongside Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson,
yes,
Robert Walsh behind the glass. My name is Will Bowling. Thursday, June the 8th. Let D-Hop Mania begin. How we doing?
Oh my gosh. We're doing good, guys, right?
We are
We
doing
got stuff
good.
to talk about.
We got a bonus is what it is.
You got to answer the question. 2D or not 2D?
Oh, dit is the question.
Yeah. D is
I think
the
that's what
question.
Zion Hopkins acquaintances are asking on social media.
Just sneak that in.
You mean
Yesterday.
Williamson? Zion, you said
Zion Williamson, not DeAndre Hopkins. Zion Williamson. You knew exactly who I was talking about.
Well, either one of them, man.
Don't sue me, DeAndre. I promise. I'm your friend.
Yeah. And this one, we're good. Will came in hot this morning, man.
You did? You pulled a buck?
No, I did pull a buck. I pulled a buck this morning. That's all I could think about.
Pulled
I
in at the buzzer.
left Hendersonville at 5:33 this morning. That's
long does it
insanely
take?
late. How long should it take?
Yeah. Should the
That
Hendersonville
is the
Police
question.
Department know how long it took
Right.
you this morning?
That's all I can think is just please don't be on New Shackle this morning. Please don't be on Vietnam Vets this morning. Your guy had to get here today because as quick as we could, D-Hop sweepstakes are in full rotation right now. I don't know where else he's visiting, but for this to be the first one on his list, geez.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez.
We were in the middle of practice and the news dropped. And I think a couple of people looked down at their phones, and I was with a couple of people, and we're like, what? And then you could just kind of see like the sidelines with everybody because it was a pretty packed house yesterday.
Yeah.
And everybody's like on their phone, like looking down.
Yeah.
And you could just see when the news broke. And then Vrabel afterwards, clearly spoke about it, but didn't avoid it, which I thought was good.
Yeah.
Sometimes he kind of skirts the questions like that, but did not. And neither did any of the players that we asked.
Yeah.
So,
That's got to be a tough situation being as a player, catch some news like that on the practice field. Most times we've had situations like that pop up as before practice the next day. Like
Yeah.
to get what do we want? This is a bombshell. Get a news break. We don't call it a bombshell until you sign or something, right? Get a news break like that during practice. It really does throw you off a little bit. It's like, well, how am I supposed to answer this question?
yeah, because they didn't know about it, but Vrabel, before they broke, I believe, said, hey, by the way, this is the news, just so they knew.
615-737-1045 for your reaction to the Tom Pelissero report about DeAndre Hopkins visiting with the Tennessee Titans and taking his first visit of his newfound free agency here in Nashville. We could also ask the question at Ramon Kayla Will, where did you see DeAndre Hopkins in Nashville yesterday? Wrong answers only. Actually, I heard he was touring NBA.
There we go.
That's out there on the streets.
Somebody told me they saw him at Opry Mills.
Oh,
So he was
really?
sitting there
Oh.
eating that cheesecake.
He was
That's what it
heartbroken that Opryland no longer exists.
Yeah, pretty much is what I heard.
He
Wait a
loved
second.
riding the hangman so much, and after 25 years, he was just heartbroken that he couldn't do that anymore.
Said it crushed him too that he was driving a e-car and he couldn't charge his car there too. It was like all the people with gas cars are parking in front of the battery chargers.
Was that before or after he got pancakes at the Pancake Pantry?
That was actually after.
That was after.
Yeah,
So then that was before when he took pictures with the wings downtown
yes,
over by the
that'd
Taylor
be a
Swift
good
mural.
tourist
100%. I
tourist
actually was
act.
backstage at the Taylor Swift concert too.
What do you mean? Oh,
You
he
were
was.
backstage. Oh, I was about to say.
No,
It's like my girlfriend is gonna.
Yeah, I'm like, wait,
Club you.
why are we
You're
learning
so
this for the
angry.
first time?
we would have ran with that 100%. We'd all been backstage. Everybody
Yes, we
would have
would've.
been backstage on that one.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. This was big. Only time I've ever had something like this happen where a bigger name, shows up on the docket for us, was probably Joe Hayden when he was leaving Cleveland. When he left Cleveland, but the rumblings were so loud around what Joe wanted to do because people in our locker room knew Joe Hayden. The fact that he was an interdivision guy also, which D-Hop, what is he, 2 years removed from that?
Three.
3 years removed from that. It's just like, man, I don't know if this can work, but boy, if we could.
Right?
And then it became a reality. We were on the road, and that joker showed up. It was like, okay, we're a contender now. We got a real live cornerback that we could really play ball with. I'm sure Bert didn't know the benefits of that type of situation right there.
Oh, boy.
He's going to be on the phone talking to a lot of people. Today.
Yeah,
Really,
He sure
ready to
is.
talk to
Look at
us.
the lines.
But what I will say, again, me personally, let's go back a month or so before. How long he's been cut? A couple weeks ago? Then the conversation been going on for a
few
while.
weeks, yeah.
It's the idea that, look, I didn't think the Titans would actually be in this situation. To actually host a guy like that, to actually be a team that D-Hop wants to come to. He laid out his criteria, right? And you got to say to yourself, well, what checks his box when it comes down to the Titans? Let's discuss this thing, I guess, the rest of this show, because there's a lot of things I do love about what he could bring to him, and then there's some things I side-eye a little bit and be like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah,
But
I think the biggest
where y'all
thing
at?
is familiarity. Just a reason to come here. You can't count that out. I think he'd be kind of stupid not to at least come check it out. Because of the familiarity with Tim Kelly, with Mike Vrabel. That's a big part of, if you're not going to get everything you want with a quarterback throwing to you and one of those big time quarterbacks, at least, maybe check out a place where you're familiar and you'd feel comfortable.
Yep.
Nashville can sell itself for the city part.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's selling the team. They've done it with other free agents, clearly. I just think you could never have counted it out. So at least I'm kind of glad just to see he's taking a visit. Plus, let's be real, guys. He hasn't gotten a lot of noise in terms of
free
other
agency.
people bringing him in.
That's very true, Kayla.
I think at this point of free agency, a visit means a little bit more in June than it does in March and April.
Yep.
Because when you're bringing somebody in at this point, I'll tell you what, my first reaction when Mike Vrabel commented on this was DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a Tennessee Titan. I think Mike Vrabel commenting on it and DeAndre taking a visit, if this was just smoke coming up from a reporter on NFL media, that would be one thing.
Sure.
This is more than just, I think there's interest there between the Titans, but we'll see what happens. I think when you go to a city and visit at this stage of the process, it means that team is by far the most interested, and you probably have some mutual interest as well. So it reminds me a little bit of Odell Beckham and the way it went down in Baltimore.
Right.
He visited Baltimore, and it was pretty quickly. It wasn't immediately done, but it got done with Baltimore after he took that visit. I know Odell Beckham at least looked a couple other places, at least went other places. But, I mean, think about, I know these are very different players, but when Chris Moore signed with the Titans, a month ago?
Yeah.
He took a visit and about 2 days later signed with the team.
Right.
I know those are very different profile wide receivers, but just for the sake of same position, same stage of the offseason, so to speak, when you take a visit, you're likely going to end up there.
Can I mention one thing? And I don't know how that process goes. Mike Vrabel made it clear they're not recruiting here.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought that was interesting because in this league, you kind of have to do a little bit of that. But maybe it was more so like DeAndre wanting to take a visit because he has heard about the culture here.
Yeah.
He knows Mike Vrabel. I think it's easy to sell this place for some reasons. Right now, I don't know if it's the easiest place to sell this offense because we don't know what it's going to look like. But I think it's very possible. I just thought that comment was interesting that he says, we don't recruit here, but yet DeAndre's coming here.
I'm with Vrabel on that one. Like, screw the recruiting. Either you are or you ain't. You come here, you like what you see, okay, Rand, don't let them leave.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, Will, to your point, it's that late in the process right now to where he's had conversation with Patrick Mahomes. I'm sure Josh Allen. I'm sure Von Miller. I'm sure he's probably had conversation with the folks with the Jets. Everything lines up as far as DeAndre Hopkins already knowing where he's wanted. Now, it probably comes down to money and targets also. And also the idea whose toes he's stepping on. Him and Traylon together is a 1-2 punch I think that's this team needs, right?
Yeah.
If we're looking at it. I think it's also, I look at this situation the same way as AJ going to Philly.
Yeah.
AJ could go to Philly because why? They had Devontae Smith. They have Devontae Smith.
They had a 2.
They had a 2.
Right.
There
Absolutely.
we go. I'm not calling Traylon a 2, but what I'm saying is Traylon is young enough.
At this point of his career, he is.
And young enough. Yep.
Yeah.
That he's young enough to where he could take a backseat and learn.
Well, if anything, I look at it as when A.J. Brown and Corey Davis just blew up that last year here. Corey almost had 1,000. A.J. had 1,000.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and Traylon, again, yesterday, guys, holy crap. That guy is completely different.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Again, more weapons means opening up the offense for everybody else.
Yeah.
Coach Tate McGinnis stops by at 7:20 this morning. Lots of your phone calls at 615-737-1045. Where coming up, we will get to those. I think the interesting part of this to me, guys, is we don't want a repeat of Julio Jones here.
Yes.
And I think at the very least, expectations would be different for DeAndre Hopkins than they were for Julio Jones. I'm okay with this move as long as you don't view DeAndre Hopkins at this stage of his career as your savior at the wide receiver position.
Preach,
100%.
my brother.
And the only reason why I really like it is you just need bodies.
Yeah.
You need warm bodies at 98.6 degrees
Yeah.
internally with a beating pulse.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a pretty good one. This is a guy that can still play and had over 700 yards last year and is really just 2 years removed off of 4 straight seasons with 1,100 plus yards every single year. So
Yep.
I think Julio Jones was kind of seen as the missing piece to solve all the Titans' problems when he came in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a little bit of a perception shift in understanding what DeAndre is at this point in his career as a very good complementary piece to the system that you are already establishing under Tim Kelly, and a guy who knows that system and played very well in that system under Mike Vrabel's watch in Houston. When you look at it from that perception, I actually like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of sense. So we'll get to your reaction coming up as we continue here in hour one. Matt, Eric, John, you're up in that order coming up. 615-737-1045. It's D-Hop Day in Nashville, the first of many probably here on 104.5 The Zone.
Interest rates may be high everywhere else, but now at Genesis Diamonds, you can get zero interest on any purchase. That's right. 5 years, zero interest financing with nothing down. Beautiful eternity bands, 1-carat diamond stud, earrings, and more starting at only $50 a month. 0.0 financing for 5 years. Imagine that $6,000 designer ring is $100 a month. Genesis will even finance in the sales tax. And interest rate relief is just another way that Genesis is always looking out for their customers. Pre-owned Rolex watches are included in this also, as are all Genesis name brand designers. So you can get the ring of her dreams at a monthly payment you never dreamed possible. It's a great time to celebrate that anniversary with the new Centerstone diamond or a spectacular diamond tennis bracelet or eternity band. Get the crazy low Genesis value price and then spread your payments over 5 whole years without a dime in interest. Now through July 1st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds.
Thursday morning at RKW, and it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is how you chime in. Do you want DeAndre Hopkins? Question of the day. And the alternative question of the day and the hard-hitting news is, where did you see DeAndre Hopkins in Nashville? Wrong answers only. Where Goody says, I heard he was dating Taylor Swift. Oh, okay.
All right, then.
I mean,
All righty, then.
Hey, make it happen.
And if he doesn't come to Nashville, we just shake it off. 615-737-1045. First up, before Robert Walsh turns off my microphone, Eric in Nashville leads us off here on the show. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys. D-Hop was here in Nashville visiting his brother from another mother. D-Hop.
There you go.
Oh, Brad.
I see Brad. I see you.
I like it.
On the show last week.
Like it.
Yeah. Hey, guys, listen, as far as DeAndre Hopkins comes here, I want to be optimistic, but here's the thing, guys, that kind of worries me. Well, first of all, if we do sign him, it's got to be for a reasonable price. We can't overpay him because he's not going to get Odell Beckham Jr. money. We can't do that. But also the fact he's 30 years old, he's been banged up, and also he's coming off a PED suspension. That's the thing that kind of worries me, and I'm hoping it's a fit, but whether it's fair or not, guys, two things that whether it's the national media or Titans fans would say wide receivers come here for either it's one or two things: to block for Derrick Henry or their careers come here to die. I'm hoping that's not the case, guys. I'm hoping he can help us, guys. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. It just depends on the skill set, whether or not it will fit our offense. I'm hoping it does, guys. But the only wide receivers I can think of that really have been effective here, one, I think we did have a decent wide receiver that came in from the Steelers. Wasn't it Nate Washington?
Nate.
Yep.
That was decent. And, of course, the best one was the tight end, Delaney Walker. I'm just hoping it works out, guys. But considering our past history, it's just not feeling good. I don't want to be negative, but I'm just throwing that out there, guys, and we'll see what happens. Guys, y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Eric.
There we go.
What is a reasonable bar for a DeAndre Hopkins season in 2023, whether it's here or anywhere else? What would be considered a successful season at this point of DeAndre Hopkins' career?
Thing is, if he's playing a full 17, then I think 1,200 yards. Last couple of years,
Still.
he's played 10 games in 9 games.
Nine
and
games
he
last
still
year.
netted, well, he still had 572 and 717 last year in 9 games. So if he got 717 in 9 games last year, I'm asking for a guy like him, man, with his ability to catch and make moves, and if he hasn't slowed down, about 1,100, I think would be solid. Especially if you open up the offense too, and that seems to be the case. It seems like everybody's hinting that this offense may be opening up through the air a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if I have to have 1,100 from him. I mean, I think hitting 1,000 would be good because I really think Traylon, now the more and more I've kind of continued to watch Traylon, and we have to wait to see what happens this season. But I think he could be a 1,000-yard receiver, and so I would say 1,000. But I wouldn't be mad if it was like even 900.
Yeah,
because there's so many other parts now to this offense. We're starting to see maybe,
develop a little bit.
like Chig,
Yeah.
So I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't think Traylon Burks gets to 1,000 if the wide receiving core stays in its current state. If you don't add anybody else, Traylon Burks, I don't think has any chance of getting to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's the only one that is going to play that outside role and do it at a very high level. Nick Westbrook-Akine could still take a step forward and be solid.
What's solid for him stat-wise?
600 yards.
There we go. Okay,
He's a 600-yard receiver.
Okay,
I mean,
then.
there are teams in Cincinnati and Buffalo where their 4th or 5th guys are pushing for 600 yards.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
You can't have your number 2 doing that here. Obviously, those teams don't have a Derrick Henry, but still, the point stands that if you want to really evolve as an offense and move forward past run, pass, and that downhill running game that Amani Hooker told us yesterday isn't really going to be the foundation anymore, you do so by having your 4th or 5th wide receiver pushing for 500-600 yards, not your second one.
I got, before we take more calls right here, Will, I got 3 things I just wrote down. Which one is more important to DeAndre Hopkins on this one? And it's also the same thing when it comes down to the Titans and their negotiation with him if they get this far with him. Which one is more important, stats, money, or ring at this point? Because chasing the ring is super hard. Like, it's been numerous players go on different teams and try to get that ring from a team they think is going to get it for them, right? Like, it's no guarantee who's going to win this year. Like, we don't know. Everybody's saying, well, the Jets is in play now. Well, heck, even the Lions are in play right now. Kansas City always is. Heck, Miami. Like, nobody actually knows who's going to win it. Cincinnati can be in it. Baltimore can be in it. Cleveland can be in it. Like, there are so many teams that are really jumping into the pool of being contenders for a ring this year. So selecting the right one, who's to say that's it? So, and then the other ones, money or stats. D-Hop's had 3 years of All-Pro.
Yeah.
He's made a boatload of bread. One thing is for sure that he can attain, to me, and it's through stats, and that's Hall of Fame. I know he got the PED on his, that he going to have to fight that when it comes down to it, right?
Word.
But money or stats, to me, I think should be at the forefront of what he's looking for. To say you go into a team for the ring, I thought the Bills were going to win it last year.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think he was miserable in Arizona. I think you have to,
so
you can't just go somewhere where you're absolutely going to be like, get me out of here. Because that is what he did. I mean, after he arrived there and then endured whatever Arizona has put together in terms of a team, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think he was miserable. And dealing with Kyler, I don't know what that relationship was like, but it did not seem good.
I mean, Kyler's young. He's super young.
So, but yeah, I'd agree. Stats and money before saying a ring. Because a ring, it could be surprising too, right?
Yeah.
You could have a team that gets it all together.
And still lose.
Yeah.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. John in the Borough is up next this morning. What's up, John?
What's up, John?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We're almost there, folks.
Almost.
Yesterday was a great Wednesday. West Ham won their first European trophy in 43 years.
All right, John, here we go. Bigger day than that. We're not in the middle of July where there's nothing to talk about yet. We got to keep moving.
Come on, John Michael.
Then we find out about D-Hop. I had a banner Wednesday, all right? I want D-Hop, but I have reasonable expectations. I'm not going to treat it like a Julio Jones thing. I'm not shouting from the rooftops. I'm not, we're going to win the Super Bowl. He's the missing link. No. I'm kind of like Ramon, 1,100 yards. Let him be the guy that takes the pressure off of Traylon Burks, and Traylon can do what he's going to do. And I think that this can be a very good team. I don't prognosticate and say anybody's going to be the surefire guy that's going to make the Super Bowl. But I think that we can finally see that this team can be molded into something that can be the team that made the AFC Championship a couple of years ago.
Right. Mm-hmm. Thank you, John. Appreciate the call. Yeah, I think this would move you back up to the very top of the division with Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now you're in a gray area of, well, if Houston gets something out of their quarterback and, I don't think Indianapolis is going to get immediate success from Anthony Richardson, but who knows? I mean, new coach, new quarterback, knew a lot of things. I mean, there's an unknown ceiling when it comes to those two teams in 2023. You put yourself above that unknown ceiling by signing DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's between you and Jacksonville for the AFC South. And it might already be that way, to be totally honest with you, just because Mike Vrabel's the head coach.
But I've made that point too, and I can stand on that too. I was like, man, I don't know if the Titans going to be second or third in the AFC South because of those questions. Like, I was okay with saying that and still am. But if you have D-Hop, that really puts you in the race for number one. Like, and that's exactly just how it is. One injury happening, the Titans can be in the worst situation. Like, the way it stands right now, Jacksonville holds the crown. Mm-hmm. And you got to give them that respect. You got to say their head coach is good enough. The quarterback, as everybody said, is good enough, right? And they have weapons. They got Calvin Ridley coming in this year, right? So a lot of things line up for them. It's not like playing the arms race. It's just a matter of look around the league. Everybody's gotten competitive. Not just in the South, but look at the AFC North. Look at the West. Look at the East. Everybody's gotten competitive. This helps you stay competitive, and it's a matter of getting hot, staying healthy, and making the right plays. Any coach will tell you, there's a lot of luck on the way to a Super Bowl. A lot of luck, and nobody likes to talk about that publicly. But the ball bounced in the right way. Them missing players that are key players in big-time games, all of that has to line up.
I know the I Am Athlete podcast that he was on, and he kind of laid down his criteria of teams that, he'd like to go to just because of what it be, the quarterback, chance to win a Super Bowl. I do wonder with the Ryan Tannehill, because, again, outside of this market, and he gets a lot of poo-poo on him.
Yeah, he
I
does.
wonder what a guy like DeAndre Hopkins really does think about a Ryan Tannehill, right? Like if you were DeAndre Hopkins and you're coming here and you're willing to take a visit, you've had to at least sit down, right? And look over some of Ryan Tannehill's stuff.
Yeah.
Or chatted with people who've potentially played with Ryan Tannehill. Maybe even guys that played with him here that are no longer
Right.
here. To come here and know that he's going to probably be the one, most likely, throwing the ball to you. Would you think that, Ramon, that he's done a little bit of his research more so than just, it's
definitely.
Ryan Tannehill. He's a mediocre quarterback, according to the national media.
Yes, 100%. Like he's going to do his homework, but at the same time, Kayla, and I've always said this, and that's one thing we've always talked about is every quarterback needs as many weapons that he possibly can. Like we give Brady a lot of credit for what he's did because he crafted it right, but he always needed more weapons. He always wanted a different guy at wide receiver. Heck, they went and got Randy Moss. The same way I look at the way the Giants jumped on Kansas City jumped on Tony last year.
Right.
Like he ended up being the guy that made a play for him. So
Right.
100%, you're right. Ryan Tannehill gets a lot of bad press around the league. It's just being game manager type of guy. But it is the idea that look, if he had better weapons, 2019, you got an opportunity to do something special.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill's a Pro Bowl quarterback when he has good
Sure.
weapons around him. I mean, he was outstanding in 2020.
Yeah.
He was a couple of yards away from Corey Davis from having 2,000-yard receivers in the same season, which doesn't happen here. That happens to other teams in the division. That doesn't happen here. Trey Wingo had an interesting tweet yesterday that I feel like kind of puts this into perspective pretty well, where he said, remember what DeAndre Hopkins said were his priorities for a new team. One, stable management, which Trey Wingo says the Titans don't have that. They have a new general manager in his first year. I would argue they do just in Mike Vrabel.
Me too.
Because new general manager is typically indicative of a coach that's trying to prove himself or a coach that's just been hired. It's not the case here.
Yeah.
Secondly, quarterback that loves the game. I think Ryan Tannehill at his best has been pretty good. And DeAndre Hopkins, I think, as much as anyone, would have a front row seat to what Ryan Tannehill was able to do in the AFC South in 2019. And three, championship defense.
Yes.
Which is probably a topic for tomorrow as we continue to expand this out. If the Titans have a championship defense or not, that's the one that Trey Wingo is saying, probably the one they fit the closest in that criteria. So those were DeAndre Hopkins' three bullet points of what he wants in a team. Do the Titans fit into those enough for you to believe that this is a legitimate possibility?
Yes. They do.
I think so.
I know that
think so.
it's hard for some people to think, okay, the general manager thing, I would agree with you on that, Will. I think that that's still more so Mike Vrabel has a steady force on this team. And I think, if anything, him and Rand are great together in how they're working together. Plus, Amy Adams-Strunk is about as solid as you can get as an owner. And then you look at the quarterback. I think Ryan Tannehill, is he the top of the top? No. But does he love the game? Heck yeah, he does. I mean, he played on bum ankles until he just couldn't do it last year. He's gained so much respect in that wide receivers room with his weapons on offense. You hear about the guys talk about him all the time. Traylon Burks talked about him yesterday in that capacity. And then the third one is the defense. I think you could say last year, pass defense, not great. But they've been doing things to improve that this year. They brought in bodies. They brought in a new guy in Chris Harris to kind of help fix that. So I think they're fixing that problem. And they've added some good pieces. So I'd say yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah, I'd say yes. At least two strong ones out of the three. I think management is stable. And I think the defense is really good, too. A quarterback who loves the game, yes, if he stays healthy and stays in the lineup, and that's Ryan Tannehill. Again, To your point, too, Kayla, is him wanting that upper tier guy. It makes sense. It looks good. Like, DeAndre Hopkins needs a guy that can, make him look good. But most of those upper tier guys, those tier 1 quarterbacks already have their number one. And if you know the wide receiver positions the way you do, Kayla, like it's certain positions that have to have shine, right?
Yeah.
There's wide receivers and those are DBs too.
Yeah.
Like those guys don't want to play roles. I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins wants to come in and play a role also. Like even looking at Odell's situation right now. Odell went to LA because it was star-studded and it was LA.
Yes. And they were going to win now mode.
And they were in win now mode later in the season. Now signing with Baltimore, I look at that and I kind of say to myself, Baltimore makes Odell Beckham a premier wide receiver. He doesn't have a guy right now that's his premier wide receiver. So Odell Beckham gets an opportunity to get his stats up, get his reputation all the way back up to the top, and still have an impact on the team.
And I think DeAndre still has more in him than Odell. I do personally.
I kind of look at them both in the same. I think they're both chasing the same thing. Even though Odell has the ring, they're looking for staying relevant in this game and stacking stats.
Yeah,
I'm with Kayla on that because at least DeAndre Hopkins played last year.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Yeah.
In addition to all the other things that y'all mentioned, the Titans' money is as green as anybody else's is, too. So, money will cover up a lot of that stuff. Look who he's played for. And I know it wasn't a really bad decision. He got traded to the Cardinals. But if you can make the money work by stretching it out or however you like to see it, that can cover up for a lot of the stuff on the back end.
As it stands, if this is correct on Spot Track, you're $8.3 million to the good.
Yep. Plenty.
Yep.
Because I think you're looking at between, I'd say 7 to 10 million a year. Probably more like
I was going double digits.
What were you going? Okay,
I still was going double digits considering he's
We'll
a free
see.
agent.
Well, I mean, I think the other element of this too is that you could do a 1 year, year 9 million, 1 year 10 million.
I still was thinking 1 year like 15.
And you can still get him that money while keeping the cap number down. Like it just because it's a 1 year, $15 million hit doesn't mean that that's going to go against your salary cap this year.
Right.
Yeah, if you could do a 2-year deal with an out after one that puts about $3 million of dead cap onto 2024 and gives you a $4 to $5 million cap hit in 2023, I think you're looking at that kind of possibility for DeAndre Hopkins.
And you think he'd like that because he'd get another bite of the apple next year.
Right. Coming up, DeAndre Hopkins, I'm sure if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, you are familiar with things he has done against the Tennessee Titans. When you look at his career, DeAndre Hopkins is an all-time Titan killer.
oof.
And the Titans would be at least adding a guy who could no longer hurt them the way he has for many years as a Houston Texan. Those numbers when we come back as we continue in Hour 1 at RKW 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster from My PhD Weight Loss. I'm here to tell you guys I have my breakfast planned out. I got my mid-morning snack already planned out. That's exactly what they do for you, okay? This is a plan formulated for you to be able to drop the lbs that you want to at the pace that is very healthy and that will stick around. On average, most female clients lose between 2 to 3 pounds a week, and male clients lose between 3 to 5 pounds a week. If done correctly, it is something that works. It is something that is not a starvation. There are no meal suppressants. There are no pills behind it either. It is just street food and understanding how your body works. And also, even today, I have a call with my coach, Rachel. We'll talk about my plan for the weekend as I'm at the ballparks all weekend. Guess what, Ramon? We should take this and do this and have these things for them. Yes, it's exactly as you need it. You're not walking this journey by yourself. If you've seen others losing pounds, Buck rising, myself, then you say it works, and it actually does. So, if there's something that interests you, visit myphdweightloss.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
RKW rolls on here, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. What Mike Vrabel had to say about DeAndre Hopkins yesterday, coming up in 15 minutes, plus Coach Dave McGinnis in hour 2, so stick around for that. Your phone calls at 615-737-1045. And guys, it is a good idea for DeAndre Hopkins to be a Titan simply because if he wears any other uniform, he'll go for like 200 against this team. In 14 career games against the Tennessee Titans, DeAndre Hopkins has 89 catches for 1,396 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Oh, boy.
Including a 45-21 win for Houston in 2014 that had 9 catches, 238 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
God, dog.
I didn't realize how much he burned this team.
Oh, my gosh.
God.
For the last decade, legitimately. You see DeAndre Hopkins at Nissan Stadium, it's like, oh, Lord.
Right?
It's going to be a long day.
D-Hop.
And every single time that there would be an injured corner for the Titans, which has been happening for many years, going back to as long as I can remember. How quickly we forget that Tremaine Brock was a starting cornerback for this team in the 2019 AFC Championship game against Kansas City. Every single time, it's like they would put that guy on DeAndre Hopkins. Like, respectfully. Like, Jonathan Joseph should not be covering DeAndre Hopkins. Like that.
He shouldn't have covered anyone.
I'm paraphrasing there, or I'm just exaggerating. But, like, the equivalent of Parrish Cox, respectfully. Yeah. Parrish Cox was minding his business at 6:45 on a Thursday morning and just got kneecapped. But anyway. So, DeAndre Hopkins
must be
just wanted to be a Titan
killer.
so he can't kill you somewhere else.
When you think of Titans killers, is he the most prolific one, or
Yes.
is there another one that comes to mind?
He, of current players, is right up there. That's a good question. Who else has been really good against the Titans? I mean, D-Hop is number one right now of players still
And it
going.
can be anybody, right? Not just the AFC South.
The number one of all time is Andrew Luck.
Because they never beat Andrew.
He was 11-0 against
straight.
the Titans.
Was he really?
Yes.
Ramon, yeah.
Wow, what a stat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What a...
Number one is absolutely Andrew Luck.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Pains me to say it.
The first game they won was Monday Night Football in 11 tries, right? And that was because, was
Jacoby
it Brissett?
Brissett.
Yeah.
I skipped class that night to drive home and go to that game.
That's right. You
Sorry,
were saying
Mom and
that.
Dad.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
If you got a better one, give us a call, because I am genuinely interested in this. Or hit us in the F&M Bank chat.
What about...
Titans killers.
It hurts me to give Andrew Luck that credit, but it also hurts Colts fans probably even more because he left them high and dry, and now they boo him, even though they should appreciate him for being a really good quarterback. So
Dwight Freeney?
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, as far as Colts go, it's Andrew Luck, and then it's
Andrew
everyone
Luck.
else.
Okay.
Not even Peyton had the ownership of
No.
this place that Andrew had.
The ownership.
I mean, it was. It absolutely was.
I know.
T.Y. Hilton up there as well.
Yes.
Another submission.
Yep.
That's fair.
T.Y. Hilton.
That's cold-blooded.
615-737-1045, where Buffalo is up next, here with us this morning. What's up, Buffalo?
What's up, Buffalo?
It's kind of foggy coming across the Cumberland River Bridge, man. Y'all be careful. That fog is thick.
Yep.
Thick. Morning.
2 C's.
Doesn't the ownership of the Titans, aren't they responsible to wring out every little drop of money every year so they take advantage of the situation? You know, you don't want to waste $8 million and then it's gone. I'm ignorant as to how that works. How's that work?
Yeah, that's true.
No, you're not ignorant.
not
I think a lot
ignorant
of
at
people
all.
wonder that.
And it's based team to team, really, because you need some flexibility in case you need to sign guys later and stuff like that. The best thing for this team is you've already signed your first round draft pick. He was the biggest piece of money that was left. But you don't spend it all. It's a good place to be at for the Titans to actually have some to spend.
Okay, well, go Pack go. I got to go get me a Love jersey, number 10. I got to order one of them.
Oh.
Y'all have a good morning.
He's believing in the love. He's going to give the love this year.
Thank you, Buffalo.
Yes.
Appreciate the call.
Buffalo, a Green Bay fan.
Buffalo, Green Bay fan. Exactly.
I get it.
In the F&M Bank chat, a comment from Cuzzo Mike, who says, another hyped past his prime, overpaid wide receiver free agent to the Titans. Insanity again.
I knew it.
How can you call a wide receiver overpaid when he hasn't been paid yet?
I knew it.
No, I'm serious.
I know.
How can you call someone overpaid when the check is still blank? We don't know what he's paid.
We're assuming.
You can say he's overpaid after he gets paid, but right now he's just a free agent.
Yeah.
Right.
Only thing that bothers you about D-Hop possibly is going to be the talking point, the age. That's about
31
it.
right now.
In 9 days. He just turned 31.
In 9 days.
Oh, he just turned. He'll turn 90. Okay, in 9 days.
No. He's 31 in 9 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Jackson is in Gallatin up next, 615-737-1045. Good morning, Jackson.
Morning, Jackson.
Morning, guys. So, like, the elephant in the room that nobody's really mentioning with this DeAndre and Odell thing, in my opinion, is the attitudes. Odell is a distraction after the games, and it's always me, 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 me. You don't get that with DeAndre at all. That's all I got to say.
That's
Walk
fair.
the line.
Thanks, Jackson. I don't know if I agree with that.
Because there have been reports about his practice habits,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
his the stuff that was going on with the Texans, which I don't know how much merit goes to that. Where what was the old Texans coach? Big cleft chin. Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill
You mean
O'Brien.
That's the offensive
butt
coordinator
chin?
of
Bill
the New
O'Brien
England Patriots you're
had
talking about.
issues
there.
with him bringing like girlfriends or baby mamas over to the practice facility, different stuff like that. But I don't know the merit in that.
I have heard before that he will practice, won't practice. He is just that good that he makes up for that lack of those types of things. But it's also, if you allow me to run over you once, I'm going to do it every time, too. And I just don't know if Vrabel is that type of guy to let a player run his own course inside his building.
Not from what I've seen when they've brought in other guys that are free agents that have that sort of attitude. And look, that, again, I don't know his relationship with Vrabel from the Houston time, so maybe it's different. But I do know when they've brought in guys like that and they're not practicing as much, not only does that not help in terms of trying to build something with Ryan, because Ryan's one of those guys that he has to work with you.
Yeah.
That's one thing I have noticed about Ryan. Like, once he can get in a good groove with you, like, he's going to go to you. However, if you're not available or you're not practicing, we're talking about practice here,
Yeah, we're talking
then
about
that's not going to happen. Right? He's good. He can be one of those guys that probably get out there and, do his thing. But I would think you'd have to think a little bit about that situation in particular with D-Hop. Again, I don't know him. I'm not going to cast judgment on him. I've never covered him. But I don't think that's 100% going to fit here.
I would go the opposite direction and say it will fit because Mike Vrabel knows him and his record speaks for itself. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons doesn't practice every day.
Yeah.
But Jeffrey's also the leader of that team. And
Well, what do you mean?
I mean,
But he
Jeffrey Simmons is
practices hard.
out there. He'll be out there. I mean, he might not practice every single day during
Right.
the season, but his presence is, I mean, he's in the locker room talking every week. He's at the podium. Like, his presence is there. I don't know if I could say the same with when Julio came in or some of these free agents that they signed.
Right.
They just weren't even, they weren't around. And I'm just saying, I don't think D-Hop could do that. I'm not saying he's going to do that, but I don't think that would work if he did that here.
I don't know why he wouldn't be around. I mean, I think it's more, if you're a veteran that's a superstar level player, Mike Vrabel is pretty good and forward thinking about giving guys days.
Well,
like,
sure.
if it's days
That's
DeAndre
not what
Hopkins needs to not practice, then I think that works pretty well. Like, I don't think he needs to earn it on the practice field. He's earned
Right.
it by being an all-pro.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just going off of the past situations and what I've noticed. So
615-737-1045 as we transition to hour two. Nathan in Clarksville will lead us off when we come back and what Mike Vrabel had to say about not recruiting DeAndre Hopkins while he was essentially recruiting DeAndre Hopkins. When we return on RKW.
We're a little late this time, 7:02. Hope you ain't late for work. From the Superbook.com sports desk, I'm Robert Walsh. Titans cap off mandatory minicamp today, but all eyes were on the Tom Pelissero report that free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is slated to fly to Nashville on Sunday for a visit with the Titans. A guy who was in town working out for the Titans is free agent defensive tackle Michael Brockers. Brockers is an 11-year NFL veteran who's 2 years removed from being a 16-game starter. He played for the Lions last year and started 5 games. In the NBA, the Nuggets were back to their dominant ways last night, manhandling the Heat 109-94. Jokic had 32 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists, while his teammate Jamal Murray stacked on another 34, 10, and 10. Never have 2 players from the same team had a 30-point triple-double in the same game. Never in the regular season, never in the playoffs, and certainly not in the NBA Finals. The Nuggets take the series to 2-1 with one more game in South Beach. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2 on your Thursday morning RKW. A good morning to have a good morning in Music City, USA. With Trust Matters, cut at all 4 seasons garage doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh behind the glass. I'm Will Bowling. We'll be joined by Coach Dave McGinnis, Titans Radio's head coach, who makes us smarter, coming up in 15 minutes. 615-737-1045 is how you join the DeAndre Hopkins discussion on a hazy Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee.
Very hazy. Yeah,
Not as bad as New York, but
That is true. That is correct.
they canceled the baseball game last night, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Bad.
Wow. You see the time lapse of how that happened too?
I know.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
It
It's
was,
good.
it was crazy.
Good thing the Mets were in Atlanta and could lose outside of New York last night instead of in it.
Good for them.
Who they lose to, Will?
Well, they lost to the 2021 World Series champion, Atlanta Braves.
That's right.
The
We were
NL
just
East
watching
champion, Atlanta
highlights.
I was
Braves.
waiting on it. I was
Anyway.
waiting on it.
Not a day about baseball, though. DeAndre Hopkins was mentioned by Mike Vrabel yesterday. And Kayla made the point earlier, too, that's correct, that DeAndre Hopkins being mentioned by Mike Vrabel and discussed by players coming off the practice field is noteworthy. Because that's, Kayla, not the way that Mike Vrabel typically handles, quote-unquote, rumors and reports from people like Tom Pelissero.
Absolutely.
Kayla, not the way. I don't know what just happened.
There was a
Oh,
little playback
look
right
at that.
there. Oh, I heard you in my right. You
I
That
did
must have
too.
been somebody else. It definitely wasn't my fault.
whispering
that was
in my
Is that
really
your
weird.
laptop?
wasn't-
That was
no.
really bizarre.
It was
I'm
my
on
fault.
silent.
My laptop was on
Oh, okay.
I am the
I'm
problem.
all like,
I was like,
oh,
what
God, what
just
did I do?
Yeah,
You know what's funny, guys? I'll let you in on a little thing. When when we're out there and you guys have been out of camp and you see there's just floods of us on the sideline. At the end of practice, we were all discussing, okay, who's going to talk to Mike Vrabel about this? Like, who is going to bring it up? Because these are types of situations where we know Mike Vrabel so well because we've covered him so long, many of us have, that we know sometimes how he'll react to things. But then sometimes we'll be totally surprised. So Teresa gets the first question always. And we were just reminding everybody, well, Teresa gets the first question. She's on it. So Teresa was on it, obviously. She had a little alter, no, another way she was going to present it, which would have been hilarious, that involved Mike Vrabel having more catches than the current wide receivers that are in that
wow.
room.
Wow.
But she didn't. She didn't. Teresa,
Savage.
that's our queen.
Savage,
But she didn't.
man.
She just asked him straight up, and he gave us a great answer. So, but just behind the scenes, sometimes we actually talk about that.
Yeah, look
that
at y'all
type of
game
stuff.
planning on how
We
to
gotta have our
attack
game plan
as a group.
sometimes.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Let's go to Nathan in Clarksville up next. 615-737-1045. What's up, Nathan?
Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing?
Good
Good.
morning.
I just want to call in my little Titans killer y'all were talking about. I got two for you this morning. First one, I don't think anybody's going to be 11-0 like Andrew Luck, but I got Tom Brady for that 59-0 whooping I can't never escape from on social media.
Yeah.
And then the other one would be referee Jerome Bogert.
Yes!
Every time we have him on a crew, it seems to not go our way.
And he gone, Nathan.
Yeah, he's retired now, Nate.
Thank you for the call, Nathan.
First down, Seattle Mariners.
Yeah. I was like, what was that all about?
Offsides, defense, 5-yard penalty.
5-yard penalty.
First down. Second down. So
was
glad that
so
guy's not
bad,
in the
you
NFL
guys.
anymore. Yeah, he was an everything killer. He was a joy killer,
Yeah,
not
he
just a
was.
Titan killer. Sorry, Jerome, if you're listening. Sorry you were terrible at your job and you made us say things like this. 615-737-1045, where Coach Mack will join us in 10 minutes and also is on the same train when it comes to Jerome and his antics. Trent is in Nashville. Up next, here with us on the phone line. What's up, Trent?
Hey, what's going on, you guys? Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I just got one thing for y'all. I'm slick excited about D-Hop coming to town, and I just wanted to get your guys' take on that. I know there's a lot of talk about him being, turning 31. I really think he'll be elite for us. I still think he's an elite wide receiver. That's all I got.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, Trent.
I was talking to Rhett out in the hallway for a second
Red
about
beat.
what he could do for you. And Bert kind of brought up some stuff to us. We've all had great ideas of what he could be. He could be a change mover, right? He could be a guy that brings a presence to your room. He could be a guy, honestly, that's a dog. And we know he's a dog because I joke with y'all off air. He has one of the most epic, y'all. The most epic hard knocks, like just moments ever in life. Okay, Deontay Hall was talking trash to him, and DeAndre Hopkins just straight up told him, "Look, man, homie, I fear God, homie." And then he started talking some more, and he tore the man ACL, y'all. I ain't ever been that bad at that good at trash talking,
Right.
and tell somebody I fear God. And you don't do nothing to me, and the next thing you know, he break him down, and he tore that
He
man
tore that ACL.
Yeah. Like, you have that presence coming with you. Now, as much as we talk about what Jeff brings to it, hey, yeah. The identity of this offense, where is it coming from? Where is it dogged? Traylon has it in him. Derek is the avatar himself, right? He connects and rolls. Like, the O-line is redefining itself this year, too. The identity of what DeAndre could bring to this team puts you in a different conversation. Just point blank period to me.
That brings up a great point, Ramon. The dog in the offense right now, I can't just completely say, because Derek's a dog in his own way, but he's not the one that's going to be like, let's go, like in practice where, they get they go over the guy, get a pass, or he runs through something. Like, he's not the one being like,
He's right back to the huddle.
Right. We were watching red zone drills yesterday, and it's just watching the defense always at this time of year early on. They're always a little bit above, right, the offense in terms of what they're doing.
Always is.
But there's so much dog in this defense this year with the addition of Arden Key. And then on top of Jeffrey Simmons, you got Sean Murphy Bunton that has that kind of dog in him in the the defensive backs rooms as a corner. So I look at this and I'm like, adding a guy like D-Hop could be real nice for that dog in that offense. I could just see him out there in training camp and kind of like after a play getting in the defensive face, you know?
And just because you know they're good. By the way, I messed it up. D'Angelo Hall.
There you go.
D'Angelo Hall. Okay,
D'Angelo.
gotcha.
This was Mike Vrabel yesterday when asked about DeAndre Hopkins, and the interesting part of this that we're mentioning here to start hour 2 is that he actually acknowledged it instead of just giving us a canned, well, we're going to worry about the players who are here. DeAndre Hopkins will be here this weekend, and Mike Vrabel addressed it.
Well, the first thing is we want players that want to be here. I think we want people that want to be here, and then we'll work through anything else. And so, we brought in a bunch of different players. DeAndre will be somebody that we'll bring in early next week, at the end of this week, and go through the same visit that we go through with everybody, and then start the process. I'm past the recruiting. I did that in college. I think that, again, would really just want people that want to be here. And then if that works out, then you go on to the next step. So this will be pretty much it until we either sign or don't sign the next part.
Yeah, that is recruiting, Mike, by the way. Exactly what you're doing right there.
I know. I'm kind of laughing.
It's funny going from, we want guys who want to be here. I'm not going to recruit. You are recruiting by saying we want guys who want to be here.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, you do. It's fascinating, though, to hear him kind of say, we're going to evaluate this situation. And it's not recruiting, to your point, where all of this is. Like, Rand may have been upstairs making calls with this agency, trying to figure out where the numbers are, too. Like, there's a lot that's got to happen before this becomes a reality. Mm-hmm. But I like the idea that it does happen. This, to me, doesn't feel like Julio. It just doesn't. And I say that respectfully to Julio because Julio's a Hall of Famer, too. I just look at the scenarios, and I think Atlanta pretty much holds the Titan on that one more than anything.
You know what it feels more like, real quick? It feels more like Jadeveon Clowney than it does Julio.
This does?
Yes. So, late in the process, free agent instead of a trade, shorter-term deal that you're going to work out to prove it. But Jadeveon didn't. DeAndre could, but to me, this feels more like the Jadeveon Clowney signing than it does the Julio Jones
Me too.
trade.
You wish the results were different in that.
Exactly.
But Vrabel also had a great relationship with Jadeveon Clowney, right?
100%.
As does he probably. I don't know the relationship is to that level, but I think he does know DeAndre pretty well. And I'll say this, guys, since Mike Vrabel has come here, and I was only here 1 year when he wasn't here, but they have been able to get some guys here. Mm-hmm. You know, I know that Jadeveon Clowney, that was a little surprising. I don't think people really thought they could get him.
Yeah.
And I remember when he came here, they were like, whoa,
right.
I'll tell you something. The Mike Vrabel effect is real. That might sound cheesy, but I think it is a thing.
I totally agree. I mean, I think he's still one of the best 5 to 10 coaches in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just did. I mean, what he did in 2021, regardless of the way it ended in the playoffs, putting that team in position to be a 1 seed and to be in the mix at the top of the AFC on its own makes you a premier coach in the National Football League while setting a record for the most players in a season in the process. Yeah. We'll talk to Coach Dave McGinnis, our head coach, on 104.5 The Zone and Titans Radio when we come back. What kind of different dimension does DeAndre Hopkins potentially add that this Titans offense doesn't currently have? We'll ask Coach Mack that coming up next as we continue on RKW 104.5 The Zone.
You know it's coming. The heat, the humidity, the high energy bills forcing your AC into overdrive. It's time to beat the heat with Window Nation's summer sale, where you can save thousands a day with no money down, no payments, and pay no interest for 2 full years. Plus, Window Nation will give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. You can protect and increase the value of your home today by calling 866-90-NATION or going online to windownation.com.
And you know what, Ramon? We always talk about saving money this time of the year, especially with our AC cranked up. You can save up to 30% on those energy bills. You might ask, well, are they the real deal? They absolutely are. Believe us, but also believe over the 10,000 online positive reviews. Make sure right now to get up on that offer. It is 0 interest for 2 years. No money down, no payments, and no interest again for 2 years. You can check them out at 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Ramon and Kayla sent you.
Continuing your Thursday morning here on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, and the whole crew's here. Robert Walsh, our producer, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, I am Will Boulding, and joining us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, presented as always by Farm Bureau Health Plans, is the one and only Coach Dave McGinnis. Look to the folks at Farm Bureau Health Plans when you need someone who knows the health coverage game plan. They've been protecting Tennesseans for 76 years. What's up, Coach Mac? How we doing?
Morning, Matt.
Well, good morning. How we doing, gang?
Hey, Coach, I got my sunglasses for today.
Good. Kayla bought some really nice sunglasses, and then when she was out at practice on the sideline where it's really sunny, wasn't wearing them.
Coach, let me know. I better put those sunglasses on.
What?
I mean, look, anyway. Coach Mac's been a coach for a long time, and sometimes look, it's sunny out there. You have to wear sunglasses. It's very important. I've learned that my whole career. And she had a really nice pair of sunglasses, and she wasn't wearing them. I looked at her. I went, "What are you doing with those?"
Yep, he called me out.
Coach Mac, you're always coaching eye discipline with defenders. This is a different kind of eye discipline for our Kayla Anderson.
That is eye discipline.
I like it.
And then she put them on, so we're good.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Coach.
Coach Mac, a lot of talk, of course, about DeAndre Hopkins this morning, and Mike Vrabel acknowledging the fact that he will be here for a visit. Just from the broad point of view, Coach Mac, what kind of different dimension would DeAndre Hopkins potentially add that the Titans maybe don't have without him right now?
Well, I mean, look, this guy's is an accomplished professional receiver that's got a body of work that, and watching him through the years against the Titans, I really didn't watch him much, last year, when he was at the Cardinals, because we didn't play him. And so I wasn't, I didn't pay much attention there, but I know what he was. I very closely watched him and preparing twice a year to play him. I mean, and I remember, vetting him coming out of Clemson. I mean, this dude is first of all, the first thing that stands out, about him is he's not an overly, he's got good size to him, but he's not one of those rocked up strong guys. He's one of those wire rope strong guys, that's got real tensile strength to him. And at the catch point especially, his catch point stuff, I think he ran, even when he was coming out of the combine at Clemson, he was a mid 4.5 guy, but he's always open. And then at the catch point, he is deadly at the catch point because he's got, his hands, I think his hands measured, 10 at the combine, wow. But the strength in those things, I've said it before, and I said it, during all the times that, in the past when I was prepping, watching, getting ready for him to play the Titans twice a year. It's like two bear traps on the end of his wrist. That the dude has got hands that are so strong. And so the catch point, he's really, really deadly. And the other thing is he's really good. He's a nuanced receiver, and he understands, when people are in phase, how to get his body where he can catch it. I've seen DBs be in great shape on him. He can be covered, but you can't get the ball out. You just cannot get the ball out because his body positioning, his body strength, and then he's a tough dude. His game has always been built on physicality. I don't know him personally. I would think, just the way he plays, he's got to be a mentally tough guy. Just watching the way that he's played, and he gets open and catches the ball. And that's what he's done his whole career. Those are two pretty good things to have as a receiver.
And Coach, right. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just saying,
yeah.
when you talk about guys like this, he reminds, and I had one like this, fortunately, in my career that, and I was tried to be dissuaded from drafting him because of his timed 40 speed. And I said, well, no, we're still going to take this guy because all he does is catch the ball every time it's thrown to him. And it doesn't matter where it is or how many people are around him, was Anquan Bolden. And this, I just know this, that he's had something that has made him a really, really fruitful receiver for a lot of years.
And he's had really good games against the Titans, like you mentioned. In his career, Coach Mac, 89 catches 1396 against the Titans with 9 touchdowns. I mean, it's a good idea to sign the guy just for the purpose of he doesn't show up in your stadium in another uniform.
Well, I mean, of course, that's playing against different teams at different times.
Right.
You can't, But look, he's done that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
This guy's an accomplished player in the National Football League. And look, I always, whether they're offensive or defensive players or if they're specialists, guys that have physical mindsets, and you can tell it in the way they play, they've got a place in my heart because this game is a tough physical game. And this guy is hard to defend in a lot of areas of the field.
Coach Mack, it's fascinating this time of the year when a guy like this comes open, man, that, they have the pick of the litter wherever they want to go, right? It's their choice. It's players' choice at this point. But the market also sets itself. I don't think this is a situation where a guy like him is going to be looking for $30 million a year. I don't think this is a situation where a guy like this is, just is open to everybody coming into his team either, right, Coach Mack? Like, this late in the process, saying he want to be signed by training camp, you can really play the long game with a guy like him.
Well, I think the big thing, Ramon, and you can speak to this. I mean, you were a double-digit starter in this league, and you know how important, comfortability and then trust is as you get later on in your career in this league, both as a player and a coach. Because, you've already been past all the stuff. And once you've got enough water in your bucket to figure out, who's who in the zoo in this league and what's going on, then you really want to figure out the kind of people you want to be around. It's well documented that he's got time spent on task in a very successful way with the head coach and the offensive coordinator here in his past.
How do you view, for the ones that will bring it up at all times, the age factor? And how much different is it in today's game than it was even 10 years back, Coach Mack, for a 30-year-old wide receiver?
Well, it depends on, what their injury history has been and how they've taken care of themselves. And to me, players now at any position, I mean, we see it to the extreme max in the quarterback position as to where, time on task has been extended in this league just because of the way the rules have changed and you can't, just beat them up anymore. But taking it to the whole aspect of players now, players take much better care of themselves and they have more knowledge, specifically, scientifically, physiologically, how to take care of themselves now, body-wise. Mm-hmm. Look, I've been in this thing long enough, where I know dudes that, would come to camp for 6 weeks to get into shape, mm-hmm. And there was no off season, none of that. I think we're in a different era now, especially in all, professional sports. You can run the gamut, guys, careers have extended longer just because they know how early on, and it's going back down to even the collegiate days now, how to take care of themselves better physically, how to get prepared, how to get ready, what you do. The days of being off for 6 or 7 months and doing nothing and then coming back and getting in football shape, that's gone. Those are things that we can write about in the books now, those of us that have seen that and experienced that. Now this is completely different. So if guys take care of themselves, their careers can be extended. I think years have to start being taken in relative spaces now, depending on how they've taken care of themselves. And the history of it is look, and plus the competition of everybody knowing how to take care of themselves. Look, there's been massive improvements in all of that stuff from the physiological part of it to the nutrition part of it. I mean, we could run the gamut on that.
So yesterday, Treylon Burks spoke at the podium again. He is just so different in a good way from last year. And it wasn't anything bad last year, but the biggest thing that he says is he has built his confidence up, right? And he is playing and having fun and not having to think about everything. What would a guy like DeAndre with the veteran presence do for a guy like Treylon in terms of just helping him to continue to grow?
Well, anytime you can get a veteran player who has done it, and because you can't manufacture experience. Mm-hmm. You can't manufacture experience in any walk of life. And so if you have the presence of mind to be able to draw from that experience, and people are willing to share that experience, that just puts you ahead of the game. It helps all along. And you're right, Traylon is different because most rookies that some are different than others. Some are further advanced than others when they come in, but some have really no idea what this is and really what it takes physically, mentally on a daily basis. I just had a really deep conversation yesterday with a couple of people, about this. And so the quicker that you can figure out who you want to attach yourself to learn from, you've still got to make your own personal journey in it, but you've got to be willing to immerse yourself in it. And that's what I see in Traylon Burks is he was willing to say, hey, I don't have this figured out, and it's I don't want to happen to me what happened when I didn't know what was going on, and he figured it out. What do I need to do? He asked. He stayed here, and he's a different person because he made himself a different person. He learned the steps and what it takes, and he's still learning what it takes to be a professional football player, which is much more than just getting paid to play.
Yeah. Coach, when I was watching some of the red zone work yesterday towards the end of practice, I couldn't help but notice Arden Key and just the way that he practices, the energy, the push that he gives the offense. Like, how beneficial is this guy just to have on this team?
Well, look, guys that have energy and that have juice to them, they energize everybody else, but you also have to have production backing that up.
Yeah.
I like this player. I've always liked this player coming out. He was a fascinating study when he came out because he was long, he was lean, he's got some Gumby to him, but he's got some dog in him too. Mm-hmm. He was, and I love look, I came into this league with a group on defense that, I'm not sure there was a group that ever talked more junk from start to finish. But they could produce every time. But here's the other thing is they did. They held each other accountable. Yeah. And you can tell, when you got your defensive front and all of a sudden you've got a guy on the edge that's barking and producing, and then you've got a big dude in the middle that's barking and producing. It's kind of like having big dogs at the end of the alley start barking and all the other dogs up the alley start barking. It kind of works pretty good.
Coach Mack with us, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Coach Mack, another guy the Titans reportedly brought in for a visit is 32-year-old defensive lineman Michael Brockers. I know you were with the Rams when he was drafted in 2012 to the Rams organization. 6'5", 297, a guy who's played a lot of football. What kind of skill set could he potentially bring to this Titans defense?
I love Brock. I love Brock, and I was, myself and Rand both, and Ray Agnew now, who's the assistant GM at the Lions, and then Mike Waffle, our defensive line coach, had a lot to do with, a lot of defensive linemen that, because I was the assistant head coach then, and I was involved in personnel a lot when we first went in there because that team had been 15-65, and when you're 15-65 for 5 years, the math says that's not real good, and so they didn't have dudes. And we went down to LSU, and he was a dude, and he was a big start of the building process of getting that defense built to a pretty good place that kind of flipped that organization. And then once Sean McVay came in and put the offensive touches on it, then they got to where they needed to get. But Brock, I love Brock. Brock, I don't know, I haven't watched Brock in a while, but this was a big physical dude that is, and I know this, culture-wise and work-wise and the type of person that he is, he fits what Mike Vrabel wants as a football player. I know that. Now, how much he has left, but I'm a huge Michael Brockers fan because all he did was come in and flip that place, and he brought a physical presence, as an inside presence, defensively up front, because we had Brock, and then we had Robert Quinn, and then we were able to add Aaron Donald into that mix. We had Chris Long. All of a sudden, James Laurinaitis behind him. All of a sudden, we started having some dudes and built that defense. We built the defense to beat the Seahawks because they were the team, and we beat them 4 out of the 6 times because of that defense. Brock was a huge linchpin to start all of that up. I love Michael Brockers as a player then, and I really, he's one of my favorite people ever. He was always one of the first guys out on the field, and I think if you talk to Aaron Donald, he will tell you Michael Brockers made a big difference to him early on in his career.
Coach Tim McGinnis, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Coach Mack, if I ever interrupt you on this show again, just make me run laps, lock me out of the meeting room, whatever you need to do, Coach. I promise I'll be more coachable.
That is a demerit.
Well, I got way too much respect from you, and believe me, if you ever get out of line, I'll let you know quick, just like Kayla not wearing her sunglasses.
Exactly.
There it is.
I took it like a champ, Coach.
Coach Mack making us smarter as always. Coach, we appreciate the time. Great stuff.
Beautiful.
See you guys.
See you, Coach.
Yes, sir. There he is. Suicides after practice for me.
Right?
Hey, man,
It's
get serious.
Push-ups in the studio again.
Like
Jeez.
Coach told me, just take a lap. How many? Don't matter. Take a lap.
Yeah.
Till I say stop.
Till I
Yeah.
say stop.
Yeah. Coming up next, our theme of the week has been Robert Walsh trivia. We will do that as we continue to react to what Coach Dave McGinnis has to say this morning about DeAndre Hopkins, about the adjustments that he could bring to the Titans wide receiver room. Some good stuff there we can reflect on coming up next as we wrap up the first half of the show on 104.5 The Zone. Thursday morning at RKW, and it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Great conversation with Coach Mack. You can find that wherever you download podcasts right at the end of the show, every hour, every morning. Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, as well as 1045thezone.com. And, of course, you can join the conversation in the Evan Bank chat on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, or Twitch on the 1045 The Zone TV video stream. We've got more Robert Walsh trivia coming up for you in just a minute. What is now being called Jeopardy.
I don't know who to give credit for that.
Yeah,
but
because a lot of people said it at the same time.
so good.
That's
You're
great.
all smarter
Outstanding.
than we are.
Yeah, 100%. We knew that already.
Yep.
I think Coach Mack was really good at breaking down just the differences in what DeAndre Hopkins could bring this offense, and essentially being like a power forward, boxing out defensive backs and knowing how to position himself in order to make difficult catches. Correct me if I'm wrong. To me, that feels like a skill that would translate later in your career more so than a guy who's built on speed and athleticism.
100% will.
Because that, to me, is more of a mental side of the game.
It is.
In terms of just knowing how to position your body. Now, when you have the strength to still do that later in 32, 33 years old, that's a separate conversation. But knowing how to position yourself seems like a skill that translates into your 30s.
It is, and that's craftiness. That's learning the position. That's film study. Well, that's understanding, look, I'm not as fast as I once was, or not as strong for some guys. You know what I'm saying? But my hands are good. My intelligence is good, and there's ways that I can trick guys into making plays for myself. That's one thing I've always loved about the NFL is guys stay in for a long time. They have that ability to morph themselves into something else. And that's something that you're looking for out of this team. Again, what is DeAndre if he comes here? A lot of it is, man, you get a star. You get a guy that has a name that puts fear into defensive coordinators' minds when they got a game for him. I don't see last year as being a down year. The suspension killed him. Absolutely did, right? Kyler been out, hurt him also. But if he comes here, he gets you close to 1,000 or over 1,000 yards. He helps the growth of Treylon Burks moving forward. As much as people's like, oh, we don't want another Julio, we don't want another Jadeveon Clowney, all of those, Vic Beasley. I got a feeling he's not like the others.
Yeah.
Just because you've seen those things. Every other person that's kind of signed here has had some type of controversy that kind of led their careers to be what it ended up being in Tennessee, right? Clowney, always injured.
Right.
I mean, look at Julio, hamstrings was before he got here. Vic Beasley,
had no clue what John
year,
was thinking on that.
One hot year, Kayla. That's all it was. This could be different and actually change, and his new management.
Well, that's my biggest thing, Ramon, because now while there was the connection with Jadeveon Clowney and Vrabes, I think it was probably a mutual decision between J-Rob and him to bring this guy in, right? Because they needed some sort of pass rush.
Yeah.
But I think in this situation, it really is Vrabel's decision now. And then, Rand's going to have his input on it as well. But I think they've collaborated so well. I know that's so cheesy to use that word, but it really is. It does mean something because I'm actually seeing it.
Yeah.
Early on, but I'm still seeing it. And I think if they agree that they could get something out of this guy in DeAndre Hopkins, and you heard Coach Mack say, what was the word he used that we always use when we speak of Vrabel? Physical. And that stood out to me.
Yeah.
If he thinks DeAndre can be that guy in this offense, a physical guy that can help in any way, I think he's here if he wants to be.
Totally agree. Let's play some Robert Walsh trivia.
Yes.
Let's play some Jeopardy.
I got to get on the board, y'all.
So, Kayla Anderson needs a furious comeback. She trails 2-0 in the series. 2-0, one might say. And we're going to let Kayla get the first crack at the answer.
Okay.
Trailing 2-0 in this series.
Okay.
It is a series. Contrary to popular belief, Robert was once a staple in the intellectual community. Again, I'm just reading the script given to me. Research papers this, dissertations that, but the allure of radio whisked him away from academia. It's good writing.
Yeah.
What was Robert studying in school before switching to communications? Oh, this is fantastic.
Oh, God.
Is it A, engineering, B, anthropology, C, dentistry, or D, ornamental horticulture? That's A, engineering, B, anthropology, C, dentistry, and D, ornamental horticulture? Kayla Anderson.
Well, I mean, I think Robert is a lot smarter than he tries to sometimes portray.
Oh,
Just going to give you that right there.
I love that.
But engineering is boring, and he's not boring, right? So
Fair.
I can't go with engineering.
smart.
Anthropology, look, that's an interesting thing. I think we're all interested in that anthropology, like old things,
Yeah.
uncovering.
Sure.
But that's also a little boring. And you don't make any money. So I'm going to go ahead and go with, what was the last one?
Ornamental horticulture was D.
And then what was the third one?
Dentistry.
Dentistry.
Shoot, I'm going to go with dentistry.
Okay.
Simply
Foster.
put, because this guy was raised on a farm. Anthropology.
Okay.
It's
Robert
close
Walsh.
to home for him.
We have a winner in Kayla Anderson, ladies and gentlemen. Kayla Anderson is on the board.
Because I'm like, he's smart. You got to be real smart
On
to
the
be a
board.
dentist.
Robert Walsh, DDS. We were so close. Now Robert, instead of working on your mouth, just mouths off on the radio
There
for 4
you
hours
go.
per morning.
There it is.
I have good teeth, Bert?
Does anybody? I do have good teeth. Everybody in here has good teeth.
All right.
we go.
But I was not that good at math. I didn't like school.
Yep.
I actually had to work hard. And I was like, I think I'll go and do public speaking 3000 again. Does anybody in here know what ornamental horticulture is?
It's like
Really?
Is that
Plants?
artifacts?
It is plants.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
so basically we'll break it down. Ornamental, so the things you look at, so freeways, highways, the flowers that are planted there,
Sure.
turf, golf maintenance, anything that is ornamental that needs to look good horticulturally falls in there. I was interested in that. My dad has a green thumb. He's grown at gardens, but dentistry, I don't know what the hell was wrong with me. This was my calling. I should have been here all along.
You
but-
want to hear something so fascinating about dentistry?
What's
I
that?
got a buddy of mine that went to Pitt Dentist School, right? University of Pittsburgh Dentistry School, and graduated to be a dentist. Never going to pull a tooth in his life. He's an anesthesiologist.
Oh, well, that makes
Big
you some
bucks.
money.
He moved. He was just like, yeah. They asked me if I want to do the program. I did it. He was
Can't
like,
sleep on that line of
I'll
work.
never pull
Thank.
a tooth. For, I was like, what? You went to dentist school? He's like you, Bert.
There you go.
You're not putting people to sleep. You wake us up.
I could
Exactly.
though.
Dude,
Mess with me.
Oh, I
You,
didn't even
you
get
took my
that.
joke. Ramon's the kid in class who says your joke louder than you do, and everyone laughs at him.
Right.
Go to break. 615-737-1045. We'll get to Greg in Mississippi coming up as we start hour 2. And what Ian Rappaport had to say yesterday on NFL Network about the DeAndre Hopkins drama in Tennessee coming up next.
What's going on from the Superbook.com sports desk? I'm Robert Walsh. Titans cap off mandatory minicamp today, but all eyes were on the Tom Pelissero report that free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is slated to fly to Nashville on Sunday for a visit with the Titans. We'll keep you updated on how that goes next week. But a guy who was in town working out for the Titans is free agent defensive tackle Michael Brockers. Brockers is an 11-year NFL vet who is 2 years removed from being a 16-game starter. In the NBA, the Nuggets were back to their dominant ways last night, manhandling the Heat 109-94. Jokic had 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists, while his teammate Jamal Murray stacked on another 34, 10, and 10. Never have two players in the same team have a 30-point triple-double in the same game. Never in the regular season, the playoffs, and definitely not the finals. The Nuggets take the series to 2-1 with one more game in South Beach. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show on the Thursday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and it's powered as always by our friends at All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. An update from Ian Rappaport on a timeline for a DeAndre Hopkins signing, whether that's here in Nashville or elsewhere. Plus sound from St. Thomas Sports Park again, where Kayla Anderson was at day 2 of Titans mini camp that wraps up today here in beautiful, sunny, warm, but not too hot, Nashville, Tennessee. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh behind the glass, I'm Will Bowling. It is nice that anyone here to listen to country music this week who have invaded our city in a good way. We like when people come here and help us pay for our roads and schools.
Stadiums.
It's you either get one night where it's a torrential downpour, or you get like 95 degrees. I can't remember the last time it was nice weather for this week.
Yeah,
Kinda
you're
nice.
right.
It is. The way I look at it is, man, it's Tennessee. I always expect like a hot day. We're in June right now. It says right now 67 degrees, Will. That's beautiful.
High of
what's the
82 today.
Oh, that is awesome.
I know.
Okay.
Outstanding.
Not get ahead of ourselves, but as soon as this air quality thing kind of moves,
Yeah.
like, thank you, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
We'll be all right. I mean, Saturday high of 87, Sunday 80. Monday, y'all? Monday?
What is it, 70 something?
77.
To be married?
That's crazy, dude. Wow.
I'm so glad we have someone else on the
To be
show
married.
who watches The Office.
Shut up.
Because
Oh,
Robert,
God.
just in normal conversation, I will just dive into an Office quote, and everyone listening to the sound of my voice right now who hasn't watched the show, who just hates me, the haters and losers out there are just incensed.
I hate you too for making me laugh like that. You made me laugh on a Thursday.
Hey, awesome, man.
Oh,
Enjoy
man.
this, y'all. Get out. Be nice.
Yeah. No, definitely. And yesterday we got a little rain, like just a little bit to
Smidge.
cool it off, which was nice out at practice too.
Knock the haze down too,
It
which
did.
was nice.
Did.
Yeah.
It did.
Again, I still can't believe I made this sentence. Like, I immediately skipped my 30s and just skipped to being 40. I said, man, we really need this rain the other day.
Right?
I can feel it in my knees.
What
Wow.
is yeah. My joints are hurting.
I saw a video on social media too, because on Instagram there was this guy that stopped after date night with his wife. Right, stopped at this older gentleman and wife's home because the grass was so beautiful. I
Wait.
was like, that was a move I'd make.
Like they just were driving by?
They just drove by and said he rolled by the house like 4 times. Like, okay, I gotta stop. The grass, y'all,
It's like Christmas lights.
it was drawn on.
That is something you would
What?
do.
It was some Bermuda, and Bermuda is like, it gets super green when it's hot. And this dude had a golf green. That's what I'm telling you.
Did you go ask what he's doing?
No, it was this dude's video.
it's a dude's video.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did he go up then and ask?
I'm stopping to ask what
I
kind of
know
grass
you
this
would.
is and what you've done. Like, you're gonna have to deal with Keish. Wait. Just
Right?
wait. I got to go knock on this man's door.
I'm like that with trees.
Are you like
Yeah.
that? Yeah, right.
No, when you see a big old tree like that, and you're like, "What is this? Is this
Ornamental
oak?
horticulture.
Fine mahogany? What is it?
Right?
What kind of tree is this, dude? Took years to get it like
you should
this.
talk with Dean from Ann Arbor.
I'm
Or from
telling
Arbor
you,
Art,
man.
excuse me.
I just like looking at trees. Just bring on all the tree.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
you branch out and meet other people.
Oh gosh,
We have got
there
to
it is.
stop.
There it is.
You know what, guys? You know
There
what?
it is.
It's been a great show, but I think we got to wrap it up right there. Appreciate Coach Matt. Appreciate
Wow, cool.
you guys playing along with Bert Trivia.
We only doing 2 hours
We're
today?
It's been a
Sweet.
great show.
Awesome.
We'll see all you guys next
Y'all want to
week.
go check a concert out? Like, what are we doing?
Who wants to fill
Let's
in
go to Riverfront.
I can't
We'll be
with
back
you
at it
guys.
tomorrow morning.
with more dad jokes?
The dad
Man.
jokes are killing you, Bert.
I'm over y'all.
Robert said, leave me alone. 615-737-1045 is
Cutting
the
myself
number
off.
if you want to jump in.
Leave me alone.
See, it's funny, Robert, because the turntables have turned because typically this is the way you operate with Buck,
Correct.
where you'll just sidetrack him with just a dad joke and he sends you to the shadows.
Yeah, no.
Now the
you
shoe's
need
on
to
the
go.
other foot.
You
Now-
can cut his mic off.
Is it just me or have these tables turned?
Now we're wearing each other's shoes. I don't know how
great.
this works. We're
Ooh.
both 12s, though, so it's nice.
Ah, you're a little bit
really?
bigger than me.
That's what.
Well, like I
shoes a
said,
little bigger than me.
see you guys next week.
Phrasing.
By the way, I didn't listen to his interview with Chig. Did he discuss the litter box with
Oh,
him?
I missed it too.
Did you
That's
hear it?
unfortunate that we all missed Buck.
Oh, we
Dang
all
it.
missed
I had an
it.
appointment yesterday right after the show.
I had a
couldn't-
nap. I was
That's-
doing something.
yeah.
You had an appointment with slumber.
Oh,
I hardly know her.
This
Yeah.
group. How are we gonna make this happen, man?
We're doing
Get you
it.
what Ian
We're doing
Rappaport
it.
had to say about DeAndre Hopkins and the Titans coming up here in a second. We go back to the phones, though, where Greg is in Mississippi.
Come on, Greg.
Back on the phone lines with us this morning. What's up, Greg?
Hey, Will, did I hear you said Vrabel was a top 5 coach in NFL?
I did.
Do you think Doug Peterson's accomplishment would be better? And that's in your division. You know, you Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles over Tom Brady.
In
I
between.
was ranking them. I'm just let me give you my top 10.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
may have him like 11th or 12th. But you know, obviously Andy Reid's a better coach.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Payton, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Kyle Shanahan, who hadn't won anything, can take Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo to the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy to the championship game. I would even say Zach Taylor there in 3 years has got the Bengals to the Super Bowl and then the championship game. If it wasn't Patrick Mahomes and the dumb guy knocking Mahomes out of bounds, they might have got back-to-back Super Bowls. I think he's a top 10 coach. I got him ahead of people like the guy in Buffalo. He doesn't do as much with more talent. If you want to say LaFleur in Green Bay, because he had Aaron Rodgers all those years getting the championship game, couldn't get over the hump. Even, let's see, the jury's out on the guy in Philadelphia because Jalen Hurts had a great year. I think you guys are probably a top 10 coach, but those guys I think I listed are probably going to be ranked a little bit higher.
Fair.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. But I think Doug Peterson, that's the greatest accomplishment, to win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles over Tom Brady. I think that's probably one of the greatest coaching accomplishments in probably NFL history.
Well, that's like your opinion, man.
Thank you, Greg.
No, that was
Greg,
it. That was
awesome.
it. Good list.
I think it's fine. I mean, but first of all, the comment was I think Mike Vrabel is a top 5 to 10 coach in the
Yeah.
NFL was the comment I made earlier. That I think he's in that
And
range.
I stick with that.
None of those guys use 91 players in a season
Boom.
either.
2 years in a row, too. And he
And-
didn't accomplish it last year, but
A lot of those guys stuck with their general managers longer too, and
yeah.
Mike Vrabel outlasted his, and there's a reason for that because the personnel he had to work
Yep.
with. Ramon, what you wanted to react to that?
I did. I would say this. Doug Peterson's a really good coach. I do believe that. Solid. Very solid. To turn, but let's also be honest, too. He does have a generational talent in Trevor Lawrence. He did get fired post that Super Bowl, whether that was front office situations or not. Yes, I almost look at him and Sean Payton as a reset when it comes down to coach rankings, too.
Right.
They both got fired or retired or whatever you want to call those types of situations. This group of coaches that you put out here, I got to remove Zach a little bit too because he has a phenom of a quarterback.
Yep.
He does.
Yep.
I put Vrabel top 7, top 8 just
Yeah.
simply because of the methods in which they have played.
Fair.
Honestly, my down in advocacy is over. Having to deal with that, okay? That shows also. Losing AJ, still staying somewhat
Yes.
competent. I give Vrabel through all things. I give him top 8
Yeah.
in this league.
think it's fair.
And this is me from an outsider perspective saying this things too.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going now, okay? Don't stop me. I'm going. This is where I'm at with this. Vrabel and the amount of tools that he has on his team and weapons, I don't think has been as good as some other players. I mean, as some other coaches. Andy, stacked team, okay? Philly, stacked team as he brings up Sirianni. Isn't that who's in there
Yes.
too? Sirianni.
Yes.
Also, now do we throw New York Jets coach in this conversation too? Because
Robert
now he's
Saleh.
got
no.
because now he's got what I'm saying is his weapons on
Right.
paper are a whole lot better. Vrabel has done a lot with what's been presented in front of
Right.
him, whether that be J-Rob, whether that just be cap situations, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to call it, coach of the year, all those things. He's accomplished a lot. Top 8 is where I will put Vrabel in that. Again, great list. Andy, awesome. Harbaugh, awesome. Tomlin, awesome. Who else was in this too? Doug Peterson. I think he's really good too. There's a really good era of NFL coaches right now in this league. I have to ask you the question too. How do we now feel about Sean McVay? Is he as great as we thought he was?
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's circumstantial on how good or great a coach is. Looking at that team, that Rams team from last year, if he was great, then he will pull more out of that team. Again, cap hell is one thing to deal with, but this team here has dealt with a whole lot less when you talk about coaching and getting teams over the hump and being ready.
Well, and-
7 straight losses, though, don't help the case. It don't at all. But I'm not putting Peterson over right now.
Well, Bill Belichick has to be in the list too.
Bill,
Oh, yeah.
definitely on the list.
Of course.
Definitely on the
Now,
list.
it's been
too.
a bit of a descent since Tom's left, but you still have to put him on there.
But one thing I look at, they're pushing. They're trying to push as hard as they possibly can in New England, but with no resolve other than Mac Jones.
Yep. I'm with you. Coming up next, Ian Rappaport's update on a timeline for DeAndre Hopkins, plus sound from St. Thomas Sports Park. Well, Kayla, you guys had an interesting quote from Tim Kelly that we wanted to get to coming up.
Yeah, no, I thought Tim said some really good things, but in particular, I think this one will get some people's attention just because we don't know a ton about Tim as an offensive coordinator, at least his time during Houston. That's all we know. So I think this will make fans a little bit happier to hear this.
We'll hear that coming up next, right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Hey, it's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company. Are you looking to check some items off your summer home to-do list? I know I've got a long list ready to be checked off coming up this weekend. Maybe you're looking to freshen up your home's look before hosting friends and family for a cookout. We just went through the weather this weekend. Going to be great outside if you're hosting friends this weekend. Well, available 24/7, 365. The Lee Company Home Improvement Professionals, they've got you covered. From pressure washing your driveway or deck, maybe you've got drywall repairs you've been putting off, landscape lighting, painting, and more. Lee Company's all you need. And you can contact them today for any of the items on that list at 615-567-1000. Or you can visit them online at leecompany.com to schedule your appointment. That's leecompany.com. Check out their website. It's a great resource for all your home improvement needs this summer. The phone number again as well is 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company, all you need. Hour number 3 continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. The question this morning, how aggressively should the Titans pursue DeAndre Hopkins? You can join us to answer that or take it anywhere around the Titans headlines at 615-737-1045. We'll get you an interesting comment from Tim Kelly coming up in a minute. But, guys, I wanted to start with what Ian Rappaport had to say on NFL Network last night. About a timeline for DeAndre Hopkins potentially becoming a Tennessee Titan. Here was Ian Rappaport yesterday talking about why DeAndre may wait closer to training camp. Coming up in a moment.
Why does Will keep
Ian, you sound a lot like me, man. Jeez.
I was
Is that Ian or
jamming
Will?
too hard to the music.
Well, I think Ramon was talking to him.
Ian sounds like a stand-up guy.
I'm a
Ian
grown man.
has-
I was talking back to.
Ian has never sounded better to me. Like, he sounds really youthful, full of energy. Sounds like a good-looking dude.
Look, we'll take this all out in post. Just set it up again. It's not like we're live or
Yeah,
anything.
we're going to cut this. We're going to cut this.
Do it live!
We'll do it live.
Here's Ian Rappaport.
Earlier today, the Tom Pelissero report that Hopkins is set to make his first visit. And you're right, there has been a lot of interest from contenders, and certainly some teams that have some money to spend. If you're looking at the profile of the Tennessee Titans, they fit exactly what DeAndre Hopkins is looking for. They got a quarterback who can play, they have a need, they have some money, and they do seem to be a team looking for one final piece for maybe that playoff push. The interesting thing here is the timing. I wouldn't be surprised at all if DeAndre Hopkins, even with a really positive visit to the Tennessee Titans, doesn't sign until maybe even the start of training camp. Rarely do veterans want to go through mandatory minicamp. Veterans especially like to maybe even wait a couple days into training camp just to make sure they get as much rest for their bodies as possible. May end up being the situation for DeAndre Hopkins, or he couldn't end up taking another visit. Either way, plenty of very, very good teams interested in the former Cardinal star receiver.
There he is.
Wow.
I love, by the way, that Kayla and I both were just like
We were
jamming to the
jamming to
music.
the music.
Background.
I know, I didn't even realize
Rappaport
that.
talking.
I was like, ooh, that's snazzy.
I looked up and we were both doing the exact same head bob. Legitimate, though, that guys that are as established as DeAndre Hopkins who are in their 30s, this is kind of the NFL equivalent of making like a silent commitment like you might in high school football when you commit to a college, because he didn't want to go to workouts if he doesn't have to.
Yeah, and they're about over, guys.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it is.
Because mini camp wraps up today, and then OTAs a couple days next week.
Yeah, most vets that hate this part of the year is mandatory, is necessary, but it's just one of those things I'd much rather be training on my own.
Yeah.
And then, of course, having that luxury of knowing, look, you know the playmaker that you have. You know the baller that I am. So let me come in, learn you guys' offense, and get on the field as quick as possible. Like, this type of stuff is awesome because, let me speak from my perspective. The O-line perspective is we enjoy being around each other. Like, gosh, this is awesome. We got to work as one anyway. Individually, DeAndre Hopkins, Traylon Burks can all do their own thing separately and come back and make it happen, because they are the entity of themselves. Those types of guys, they can just show up in training camp. I knew some guys that did that type of thing too, and would much rather just check the box. Hey, coach, I'm here. I don't need to be on the field, but I'll be ready. And I think that's what D-Hop is, essentially.
Well, I think he also needs time to make the right decision. I don't think he's taken this decision on where he's headed lightly at all. I mean, I'm sure he has in the back of his mind the places he'd love to go, the places he'd like to go, and the places that are if I have to go, right?
Yeah,
but I think it's important that he gets the visits he wants to get out of the way now and then have some time to decide. And this is the perfect time for me as a player. If I were a vet and in this position, this is when I would do all my visits too. Because like you said, there's no need really to be going to a OTA or mini camp. You have no pads on.
Yeah,
I mean, training camp is where it is.
Right. I agree. And it feels like to me, correct me if I'm wrong here, you're full freedom to shut me down, but if we don't know... Okay, Robert shut me down.
I was wondering what happened there.
You gave me full
You
freedom.
shouldn't have given him the idea, Ramon, to turn my mic off whenever he wants to.
I was like, did we have an outage here?
I had freedom. Anyway. I think if we don't know of any other DeAndre Hopkins visits by the time he gets to Nashville, I think that's a good sign for the Titans.
It is.
Okay.
Because I feel like the way this typically goes, either you schedule all of your visits over a week or 2 week span, and maybe today we learn, hey, DeAndre's going to Kansas City. Wouldn't surprise me.
Sure.
Adam Schefter said on his podcast earlier this week that he still feels like Kansas City is in the mix, but they'd contractually have to move a bunch of things around. The same could probably be said about the Titans, too, to be fair. I think if this is a one-off visit and we don't know of any other visits scheduled within the next week or two by the time he gets here, then I think odds are DeAndre Hopkins is probably a Tennessee Titan.
Yeah.
Fair?
I think it's a fair statement. I think it's also fair to say sometimes the first visit can make a huge impression. Whatever they decide to do, however Mike Vrabel and company, decide to kind of like lay out the plan for this season and what they would like him to do or whatever it might be, I think you could leave an impression if you're a guy like Mike Vrabel, again, going back to just how he's brought in dudes here so far since coming to Tennessee. I think that you could leave a first impression. I mean, you're going to go to other visits probably, but.
Yeah. And I think, of course, looking at the Odell Beckham situation, I think this is where he lays his head. I think the money will be in that be around that range, whether it be right at 10 to 17 is kind of where I kind of see the sweet spot for a guy like him, especially in the role he is. I think you are paying for the personality. I think you are paying for the ticket sales. I think you are paying, like all of those things go into play when you're talking about a guy like this and DeAndre Hopkins. I said this in the 6 o'clock for you guys just checking in now. It's 3 things I think that matters when you're signing a guy like this. And it has to be on his hit list, right? It's stats. Because more than anything, the stats, I mean, if he get his stats, he get his gold jacket. If he gets another All-Pro Pro Bowl season, he gets his gold jacket. He's got 3 first-team All-Pros. He got 2 second-team All-Pros. He's in the conversation. So the higher he get his stats up, his wide receivers numbers, his receptions, all of those things matter to a guy like this if I can't go get the ring. The other portion of this is money. I'm not just coming in as charity. I got to be able to get some coin on this thing, too. Odell Beckham coming off the ACL still got 18.
Still got money,
18. And I think you can move the numbers around to make this work without restructuring other guys. And the last thing that has to come into play for this team, or the team that he's selecting, is the ability to go get a ring. Those 3 things, stats, money, or ring. I think he needs 2 of the 3 almost guaranteed. The hardest of all of them to me is the ring.
Sure. But who's to say you can completely cut them out if you did grab a guy like DeAndre? If they can go through a season where they're not losing bodies 5 to 10 every single, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say that team could not 100%? You can't say that, right?
Yeah.
So there is still a chance that they could compete in the AFC South and then take it from there.
And so here's the it gets bigger and bigger the more you peel back layers when it comes down to this DeAndre Hopkins situation. Will, you brought up this earlier. The 19 and that 20 season, specifically 2020. He was a few yards away from having 2,000-yard receivers.
Yeah. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown.
And so history will tell us this, right? If Ryan Tannehill has weapons, then he has the ability to make big plays.
Ryan Tannehill can be a top 10 to 15 quarterback when he has good players around him.
So, with that being said, if he has Traylon, if he has DeAndre, if we say Derek is going to be Derek, if we say Tajay Spears is going to be good, if we say Chig has the ability, if we get a slot guy, like we get all of these things, it ain't our issue. It's a front office issue. But if Tannehill goes out and throw for 4,000 yards, minimize interceptions, and go deeper into the playoffs, it puts them in a bad, good situation.
Yeah. Can you sell that if you're Mike Vrabel?
Can I sell? To me, it ain't even on the sale. To me, it's on the idea that, look, you might be on the Tannehill a little bit longer. And you have a real good contingency plan with Will Levis behind him if Tannehill does go down. That is also the good thing in them moving up to go get a guy like Levis if he's capable of delivering passes at an NFL rate, right? As you get a backup if Tannehill does have an ankle issue. Well, we got a guy we actually do trust that can spin the ball down the field. You do have those. But if Tannehill goes out and have a phenomenal year, an extension is probably due for a guy like that and actually letting him go in free agency because this is a good thing for a guy like him.
What is the number where DeAndre Hopkins becomes too expensive to you for this Titans team?
I'm not paying – where he is right now in the offseason, I'm not paying over 16.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kayla?
mine's right in that area, 15 to 16. Anything more, I'm probably not going to go there.
I'd say 15.
Yeah, that's
Over 15 is too much for you.
that's kind of what I'm thinking too.
I think so.
Yeah.
615-737-1045, the number where Jason is in Nashville. Up next with us here on the phone lines. What's up, Jason?
Hey, I had two questions. And have y'all thought about maybe this is one of them same scenarios that the Titans have went through before, where I'm just riding through to get my last check, and I'm not going to produce like we're hoping he produces on what he's done in the past, but you got to consider his age. And then my next question is, if you do give him $15 million, how much of that do you make guaranteed? I just wanted to hear what y'all have to say. Y'all have a blessed day.
You too.
Thanks, Jason. I think the way you counteract him just wanting to collect a paycheck late in his career is you make it a short-term deal where he's proving himself to try to get another one final multi-year deal.
30. He just turned 31 2 days ago. My bad. On that, too.
So he did already turn 31.
Turned 31. Yes, he did.
Okay, well, happy birthday, D-Hop.
Happy, belated to you. Will, you saying you think this is the last one to get in and get out?
That's what the caller was saying, right?
Well, yeah.
Jason's question was, is this just another player who's wanting to collect a big paycheck late in their career? I think the way you avoid that being the case is by giving him a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
Or a 2-year contract at most. But I think anything that you're going to give him beyond a year, you've got an out after 2023 if you've learned from the Julio Jones debacle.
Or maybe like an incentive-based contract, like something that would
per game bonus,
like incentivize him to do better.
I would almost do a per game bonus for him too.
Okay.
I don't know if he would go for that though.
You know, the other portion is you're in a tax-free state. Well, it was in Arizona too, so you get an opportunity to still cash in a little bit more. That 15 may be 15 here is what 17 in another place.
Correct.
Missouri,
That'd be.
You know, like if he wants to go to Kansas City
I always
or
forget
New York,
about that.
like there is that play that can be made too. And then the other portion, can we say this, Will, before you go? You're going to play in the South, Brody. You're going to get your numbers. What DBs you fear in the AFC South right now?
Yeah.
Only ones that fearful is, the secondary defense is here in Nashville.
Yeah.
It feels to me like DeAndre Hopkins wants the mix of contender, but I'm the guy.
Yeah.
Because if DeAndre Hopkins goes to Kansas City, he's not the guy.
No.
If he goes to Buffalo, he's not the guy.
No.
A lot of those places that you may look at as a ring-chasing kind of scenario, I think Tennessee gives him more opportunities to pick up yards and continue to create a legacy after it didn't really work in that department in Arizona.
Is there another place that you think fits that description better than Tennessee?
Cleveland?
But the only thing with Cleveland is if I'm DeAndre and I'm playing, I'm not. Everybody who goes there, I don't care who's there right now. Deshaun, I don't care. Everyone who goes there who thinks that they're going to get out with a ring or have it doesn't happen really.
Yeah.
And you have to think about that. There's no way that he doesn't think about that.
I agree.
I agree with that.
But if he wants to play with his old quarterback,
and if that's the deciding factor, sure.
For sure.
Cleveland plays. I don't think Cincinnati plays.
No,
Jacksonville?
No.
No.
Not what they're paying Christian Kirk.
And I think they've got all their guys.
And it's kind of a similar situation to Cleveland where it's a stacked room.
Mary Kay Cabot said that there's not as much talk.
Sure. And if you look at Cleveland, like what they've done in the offseason, they drafted Cedric Tillman, they traded for Elijah Moore, and they've done so, and they've stacked this room up as the years have gone by. They've got Amari Cooper, they drafted David Bell, they've got Donovan Peoples-Jones, they've got a plethora of receivers.
Yeah.
Good word.
Plethora.
I love that word.
Good problem to have.
It's good for you, man.
I told you I used to be smart.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I used to be.
Seattle?
I think they kind of got their.
I think random teams.
Yeah, I think they got their guys.
Cleveland.
I think Cleveland's the other one, and you're right.
Yeah.
Mary Kay Cabot did report that, there's not really imminent discussions there right now. But when you think about the former quarterback angle there and a team where he could go into a room and be the guy, I know Amari Cooper's obviously outstanding.
Yeah,
I think it's more appealing here still. Just because you could also say the Tim Kelly thing,
That's the other thing about this, though, too, is we're dealing with a different offense, supposedly. We're dealing with a little bit more creativity. We're dealing with the idea that they maybe actually put the ball through the air.
So let's get to what Tim Kelly had to say about that yesterday, because Kayla brought this up as just an interesting quote about him reinventing himself the second time he's an offensive coordinator. Here's what Tim Kelly had to say yesterday.
Being more confident in terms of my beliefs, in terms of what I believe I want this offense to look like. Sticking to that, but in the same breath, not being too proud to take input from members of the coaching staff. I think we've got a great coaching staff. From Charles London to Justin Allen, with Haas, with Tony, with Rob, all these guys have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience in different systems.
Yeah.
And so it's been great for me to be able to trust those guys and to be able to take their input, and all of us kind of put this thing together. Because obviously it's going to be a different deal, but it's going to be our deal. It's not mine. It's not any one person's. It's truly a collaboration of all those coaches in there, and I think that's probably the biggest the biggest difference from the first couple of years.
So there is Tim Kelly talking yesterday about reinventing himself, and other voices in the background that I don't know what those were.
I was like, we needed to go back to, that was us. We needed to go back to the shadows. That was me, you, and Ramon in the background. Back to the shadows, Kayla, Ramon, and Will. So what it was essentially, guys, is he feels more confident this time with his offense, what he's running, kind of the things he's done to put it together. He says, I'm also not too proud to take input from the other guys on my staff, like a Charles London. I think that when you put that all together and you've heard the guys talking about how they have changed some things, they have changed the lingo, I do believe this is going to be different. It drastically different, no, but in a positive way. And in terms of how I feel, Tim Kelly running it compared to DA, Todd Downing advocate, I think it will be much better, you guys.
Yeah.
In the F&M Bank chat, Broderick on Facebook Live watching the show today says Cleveland is closer to a championship than the Titans. Yes or no?
No.
I'm not going to believe it just based on year in year and year after year. It never results in anything until you prove me that it can result in something, like the year the Titans went up there and busted their you-know-whats, which they were supposed to win the Super Bowl that year.
I say no.
They're not a better team.
Cleveland's like the six-time defending offseason champions of the NFL.
I would almost say Cleveland has a stronger possibility to finish in fourth in the AFC North than they do winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. I think they're the probably fourth best team in the AFC North right now.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh is three potentially trying to hold up its end, but that could be a very sticky situation for Cleveland. They may either have four teams in the playoffs, or Cleveland or Pittsburgh is out of the playoffs because the North is what it is.
Yep. You could say Cleveland's as good of a roster as the Titans.
Yes,
that's not the same
correct.
as saying they're closer to a Super Bowl because they don't play in the AFC South.
That's the distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Coming up next, more of your phone calls, 615-737-1045. What Traylon Burks had to say coming off the practice field yesterday when asked about what it would be like to play with DeAndre Hopkins. We give you the full context of a quote that many are taking out of context.
Yes.
When we come back on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Wrap it up, hour number 3 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. With the whole crew here, we'll hear what Traylon Burks had to say yesterday when asked about DeAndre Hopkins. And not quite the open recruitment that A.J. Brown gave Julio Jones. When he photoshopped Julio into a jersey next to A.J. But Traylon certainly did not shoot down the idea of DeAndre Hopkins coming here like what Twitter may lead you to believe.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Here is Traylon Burks talking about the opportunity of D-Hop coming to Nashville.
That's something that I can't control. He's an awesome player, great player. It would be fun to play with him. So, if we end up getting him, then we get him. If we don't, then we don't. But no offense to him, he's a great player. I'm just glad. I like playing with who we have here. So.
Can I add something at the end of that?
For sure.
Because that's what people took off with on Twitter.
Right.
I like the room we have here. You guys, let's also understand the fact that he doesn't know for sure if he's going to end up in Tennessee. And to make sure that your room continues to be tight like they are, and they've pumped each other up and they've held each other accountable so far because they know that they're kind of being looked at as nothing.
Yeah.
I think it's important for Traylon Burks to know to say that.
Yep.
Just to keep his guys, because he's kind of the leader right now in that room, to keep his guys focused on what's going on now, not just hypothetically thinking what could happen in the future. I think that's more so why he ended it with that.
Mm-hmm. And he's such a young guy. That was the most proper response he could have possibly had. I thought it was smart. Love to play with him, but, man, I like our room too. Not saying that we wouldn't want him. And then it's, of course, like you said, he has to politic a little bit when it comes down to what he says publicly about this, right, Kayla? It's not just that, man, I love to have him, because then it does look like you're dissing someone else. I give you guys a scenario all the time. Like when the Castro was drafted in the first round, basically in front of me, like my guys that were my guys, Marquise was like, Mom, we're good. We're going to make this thing happen. Like, you got to have that type of mindset, because DeAndre's not coming in as no friggin' backup. He's going to take somebody reps.
Right.
And that's essentially what it kind of burns down to. I will say this, the biggest benefactor of DeAndre coming here is Traylon.
Yeah.
Traylon know he's going to be good. And the thing is, Traylon's going to be here long after DeAndre.
Yeah.
So he can't be out here dissing other guys by saying, man, I love to have him. Nah, you look foolish when you got to look those guys back in the eye again.
And he did actually elaborate on that after the question was followed up with saying, hey, what do you think about him, though? Like, how great would it be to play with a guy like that? And he did say some really good things.
Yeah.
I think, to me, it's a sign of maturity for Traylon Burks more than it is anything else.
100%.
And it's a maturity that he's a really good wide receiver, obviously, but that kind of frustrated, I think, the Titans when it came to A.J. Brown. And even when he was good, when he was up, A.J. needed to grow up a little bit.
That's a good point, Will.
And I think he did through the process of going to Philadelphia and that trade. And I think the things that A.J. Brown said about mental health and about knowing at times when he wasn't okay, I think he matured a lot in just being brave enough to have those conversations. So I certainly don't want to diminish that too much, because AJ talked about some tough stuff and did a really good job eloquently speaking about a topic that athletes don't speak about very much. But I think for Traylon, that's him taking ownership of being the leader in a room that has got a lot of youth and inexperience in it. And to me, that's more what I'd take away from that versus wanting a guy or not wanting a guy. I hear that quote and think like, oh, Traylon's got his guys back.
Sure.
Because he knows that they've got to raise their level a lot this year because they weren't good last year.
And if he didn't say something like that, I think it would be one of those things where, okay, maybe there's a little bit of a, well, I guess our room's not good enough. And what if you don't get DeAndre then? These guys that you're in here battling with day in and day out are like, well, Traylon's kind of he's not really here for us.
Right.
Let's go to Andrew in Portland up next, 615-737-1045. What's up, Andrew?
Good morning, friends. How are we doing?
Good morning.
Pretty good.
Good. So my thing on D-Hop, I've been kind of, well, not very silent, but kind of silent. So since y'all are talking about it, I wanted to kind of call in and put my 2 cents in. I see a lot of people that are oh, the history of veteran wide receivers and, the money and paying a guy to just get us, come in here and be hurt and all this stuff. And I get it, but I think about it like this. We have failed as an organization so many times on drafting quarterbacks, right? But that doesn't mean you stop drafting quarterbacks.
Yep.
We have failed so many times here recently, J-Rob, on drafting first-round picks, but you don't stop drafting first-round picks. And so I've kind of got to the point where I'm like, look, if the money's right, like, pay the man and bring him in here, as long as you're good with what he's asking for and y'all can agree, because he's going to do nothing but elevate the team when he's on the field.
Facts.
You can't stop taking shots to win in this league. And right now, we need a wide receiver, and D-Hop would put the other wide receivers where they need to be when it comes to the pecking order. And I think that would be a piece that could really make us good enough to make the playoffs. Will we make it? Who knows? But it'll at least give us a shot. So that's my thoughts on it. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Andrew.
Points, Andrew.
Yep.
All good points.
I was thinking that too, Andrew. Like, you can't just stop trying, right? If there's something there, you got to at least try.
I agree. And look, Rand Carthon wasn't here for those decisions.
Nope.
No, he wasn't.
I mean, Rand Carthon wasn't here when this organization 15 years ago was having the same issue
right.
of replacing wide receiver production. It's always been a challenge for this organization, but the guys that are currently in that office had very little to do with the issues of the past.
Yeah.
Rand Carthon shouldn't have to pay for John Robinson's mistakes.
Or the guy before John Robinson.
Right.
You know,
Rustin Webster.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you. Coming up, hour 4, resetting the headlines. What ESPN's Adam Schefter said on his podcast about Kansas City, Buffalo, their cap space, and the way DeAndre Hopkins could fit into those scenarios. We'll get you more audio from the practice field yesterday where Sean Murphy Bunting also commented on what it's like going up against DeAndre Hopkins, as well as observations from the practice field on day 2 of 3 in mandatory minicamp week, courtesy of our boots on the ground. And Kayla Anderson coming up in the fourth quarter of the show. This show gets better in the fourth quarter. 4's up around Nashville. Unless you're driving, then just wait for a red light. It's 104.5 The Zone.
9 o'clock. What the heck's going on? From the Superbook.com sports desk, I'm Robert Walsh. Some breaking news off the top. I feel special. I never get to do stuff like this. The Vikings and 4-time Pro Bowler Dalvin Cook are parting ways. One of the NFL's most dynamic playmakers, Cook is coming off a fourth 1,000-yard season and has 52 career touchdowns. Now he'll be a free agent at 27, and he's going to have a lot of suitors. That per Tom Pelissero. Something else Tom said yesterday. The Titans are camping off minicamp, but all eyes were on the free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, who's slated to fly to Nashville on Sunday to visit with the Titans. We'll keep you updated on that next week. But a guy who was here working out for the Titans yesterday, Michael Brockers, 11-year NFL vet who is 2 years removed from being a 16-game starter. He played last year for the Lions and started 5 games. He was in town working out for the Titans. We'll see if a contract gets worked out there. And in the NBA, the Nuggets were back to their dominant fashion last night, manhandling the Heat, 109-94. Jokic had 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. While his teammate Jamal Murray had 34, 10, and 10. Never have 2 players on the same team had a 30-point triple-double in the same game. Not the regular season, not the playoffs, and not the NBA Finals until last night. Nuggets take the series to 2-1, with one more game being in South Beach. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5.
Into the fourth and final hour of the show. It is Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Shadows.
Was that a minute break in between?
All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Dalvin Cook is a free agent.
Whoa, baby.
Officially released by the Minnesota Vikings, the 4-time Pro Bowl running back on the move.
Wow.
Adam Schefter reporting that the Miami Dolphins and Denver Broncos are 2 of the teams that are expected to have an interest in signing running back Dalvin Cook once he is officially released. There will be others. Schefter adding those 2 have been monitoring Cook for weeks.
He's going to go quick. I'm just going to say that.
Let Dalvin cook.
Yes.
With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling, making terrible jokes with you this morning, but what else is new? Sky's blue, and
we like dad jokes here.
That's right.
Yeah, we do. We do. Did we let people in on what Bert's doing on the intros?
No, they can figure it out for themselves.
We let them figure it out.
Yeah, that's about the biggest hint you're going to give.
Yeah.
We're just pausing as long as possible for
certain. It's so good.
certain
It's our
things.
little inside joke. One day I'm going to do one at the beginning of the show and not say it until the end of the show.
That'd be great. You got to start and end, though. Bookmark it.
The
right?
funny thing is that 104.5 The Zone TV and people who are commenting on the F&M Bank chat do not hear the music.
Yeah.
They only hear your update.
Mhm.
So people are very, very confused at the F&M Bank chat about Robert Walsh starting the update and finishing at 104.5 and then just waiting and waiting. And then I start talking at The Zone.
The Zone. Jameson TV in the F&M Bank chat actually said, I was waiting for it.
There you go.
Laugh
Jameson
emojis.
picked it up. He picked it up. I love it, man.
Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, where you can watch 104.5 The Zone TV for 12 hours a day. The premier streaming destination
Binge.
in sports talk radio, both here and around the world, correct?
Do we go ahead and just say you got Dalvin Cook at home, so we not stopping for Dalvin's?
Actually,
talking about in Nashville?
Yeah.
Oh, here, yeah.
Yeah, here.
But-
Do we get that out the way or we let him live?
No.
I would like to please get that out of the way.
Get that out of the way.
We got
Please don't
Dalvin
call
Cook
us
at
about
home.
Dalvin Cook.
That has nothing to do with Dalvin, by the way.
No.
I think it does kind of impact the Titans, though, because remember the popular topic before the draft was, is Derrick Henry traded? I think this is another running back that fills another team's slot, which could potentially push any trade value that Derrick potentially had to another team down to almost nothing now. So, like the Dolphins, the Broncos, the teams that were both interested in Dalvin, they hypothetically wouldn't be interested in Derrick because the need could be filled by one Dalvin Cook.
Does Buffalo team up the Cook brothers?
Ooh.
Good.
Because they still aren't set on that position, are they? Like, they always
Too many
have
cooks in the kitchen.
Right. There we go.
Leave now.
Right?
Leave right now.
I had to do it before Will did it.
You just
Now
gave
it's a
me the
competition.
freedom to now say more
I'm
terrible
actually
jokes.
going to start tallying this. Who has the worst dad jokes on the show, and it doesn't include me? You're in this.
You try. Me too.
Bro.
You're the one.
other
You
day,
have the promo running on the
other
station
day-
right now about doesn't have to run very fa-fa.
Yeah. Yeah.
You menace.
You think I was going to let you off the hook
I
there?
thought you were gonna let me off the hook right there, Kayla. I did. I thought we was together on this thing. I thought I had a friend.
You jumped on
No,
Will
don't do that.
and had the dad joke before he did today.
I did. You're right.
Remember?
But
like
I'm an actual dad. These two
This is
aren't.
true. Yeah,
I have a dad joke book at home.
You do?
I
You should
do.
write one.
I have a
just listen
notes
to Will
page on
every
my
day.
phone. Should I go into my notes page?
Please don't. Please don't.
No.
Wait, I
No,
have
baby,
one mom
no.
joke.
Let's hear
go
it.
ahead.
Okay. So, how do you make the Kleenex stance?
Sneeze it away.
I know the answer, but
This is
I
a
want you to
rhetorical
say it.
Okay,
question. Go
you
ahead.
ready? You
Yeah.
put a little boogie in it.
Oh.
All right.
I'm gonna go headbutt my head to the wall back
now. Leave ASAP. By
Robert,
the way,
Robert, how do you find Will Smith in the snow? You look for his Fresh Prince.
I don't. What would Schaefer do? Like, what am I supposed to
his
do?
mic off.
Like,
Cut his mic
He would
off.
go to break.
Yeah,
Cut
cut his
it.
mic off.
Cut it.
Exactly. That's
Cut
exactly
it.
what he would
Okay.
do. And give him a demerit at the end of it, too.
That is demerit.
Like, demerits. You get a whooping and no dinner, Will.
Have I ever told you about the worst hotel I've ever been to?
No, what was the
It's a
name of
joke.
it?
It's called The Fiddle. It's a pretty violin.
Stop
Oh.
it. No.
That one's bad.
We cannot do this.
So anyone who knew me
Over
in
you.
middle school or high school right now, first of all, I apologize. I wouldn't have been friends with me either. B, this is why I didn't have any in high school. It's because I was just the dad joke guy. Like in
Dad
high
joke
school.
at 14.
Too Sully in the
Legitimately.
F and the back chat said the courtesy laugh always hurts the most.
I know. I'd rather you just not laugh. The courtesy is the worst part. Oh my goodness.
By the way, I'll tell you what else hurts. Y'all ready?
He's going to try to do a transition.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not about to do a transition. It's to find out your teammates, okay? The people you rock with 5 days a week unless they're on vacation.
Here
The
it is.
people that you come in early in the
Okay.
morning
Okay.
with, love each other, talk good things about each other, have a secret group chat on Twitter.
Oh, God, Ramon.
That's
So
crazy.
Ramon is angry at me, Kayla, and Robert.
Playing the victim here,
Because
I
we
see.
now have a Twitter group text in
Wow.
addition to our text group text. And we will send each other throughout the day stories that are interesting during the day that we want to talk about on the show the next morning. Ramon, in his infinite lack of wisdom, has decided to lock himself out of Twitter by not disabling two-factor authentication when everyone else did, because Twitter sent out a ton of notices of like, hey, turn this off. Otherwise, you're going to be locked out of your accounts. And now Ramon, on June the 8th, 2023, has been locked out of his Twitter since last Friday. Yet we are the ones to blame.
No, I actually set it up. I don't know where the two-step authentication went to. That's the problem right there. And I've been contacting Twitter, but you three have been having a dandy time.
You really said you people.
You people.
Yeah, I said you people have been having a dandy time sending articles to one another, man. That's cold-blooded, man.
Been a
I
lot
thought
of
I
them.
knew y'all. Oh, just pile it on, huh, Kayla?
We've probably already sent like 30
I've-
tweets in that thread. Like, you're going to have so many notifications when
Yeah,
you get back
you
on
are.
Twitter.
I'll tell you his last notification you're going to get is meet me in the parking lot. I'll tell you that much.
The notification of a bucket and a
And a
mop.
table
Right.
and a pop and running water.
I'll never
Ice
forget,
ice
Kayla,
bucket
the first
challenge.
week I worked with Ramon before you were in the building every day.
Uh-huh.
Like, he would threaten to waterboard me like every day.
So wait, what was this set up upon? Like, why?
It's just
Just when he would just disagree with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
I just tell him I'm a waterboarder.
I'm a waterboard you.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
That
I know
does.
people that actually did it.
oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, no, not two people actually had
Geneva
it done.
Convention's going to shut down this
Hey,
radio.
Right.
It's like it's by far the worst experience you can have.
did
So
you guys do that ALS Ice Bucket Challenge back in the
I
day?
did.
By
I was
the way, it was a
challenged
great thing.
and I didn't do it
So
in high school.
if I was going to do it, I was going to do it big because to me that was a great thing.
Yeah,
It
for sure.
raised money for a great cause. But so I said I'm going to do it, but I got to do it big because all the TV people they did like a little bucket. I'm sorry, that is not it.
Call 'em out,
So I
Kayla.
went to Arizona Athletics and I said I was in Tucson at the time. I said, "Yo, Nia Butts was the head coach of the women's team at the time for basketball. I said, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. They filled up that whole orange Gatorade bucket with ice cold water. Ice was in there. The girls, I sat down, they dumped that whole thing, which lasted a few seconds, over my head. I'm not joking. I lost my breath for about 3 seconds.
Cold water.
It was in a Gatorade bucket of it.
Yeah, no, it'll do you in.
Like,
man.
I can't imagine being waterboarded.
I don't see how Kevin Hart does that show with him in a cold tub.
I don't
have
either.
No idea how he does.
Like, I can't breathe.
It is tough.
It's
People tell
crazy.
you it's mental. Yeah, all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ian Rappaport, we mentioned the clip from him talking about when DeAndre Hopkins could sign. Adam Schefter adding his voice to that conversation as well earlier this week, singling out Kansas City as the team he feels is most sensible for DeAndre Hopkins, and is sticking with that. The cap situation for Kansas City and Buffalo is interesting. According to the NFLPA's public salary cap report, Kansas City has an estimated $1.2 million available in 2023 to make any other moves. Going to have to be a lot of manipulating that number.
It is.
In order for them to add DeAndre. But as we discuss a lot on the show, teams that have space in 2024 and 2025 and beyond, if you really want to make it work, you can usually make it work.
You really,
especially when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback.
Yes, you can. And Patrick actually is coming up on about 2 years removed from getting an extension. I think having the ability to rework his money.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way his deal was set up.
Which may happen this offseason.
Is it this? I did see an article. I wasn't completely sure on that. He has the ability this offseason to say, hey, I'm still him.
Well, at this point, he could do it whenever he wants to. They can, he's talked about working on that, and that was when he had that corny quote we talked about last week where he said, like, I just care about legacy, not money. Like, buddy, you signed, like, the biggest contract in the history of the league when you signed. Like, yeah, you care about money, too.
Oh, so humble.
His dead cap hit this year is $134 million. Cap hit to 39.
Pretty good.
Well, I guess it does get sticky for them, Will, because after this year, he goes to 46. The year after that, 48, 44, and 62. So something's got to happen.
Interesting, the Vikings and under management that came from the San Francisco tree, where Rand Carthon obviously was, the kind of refresh and rebuild that they are now a year ahead of the Titans in. I know we've talked about the Lions as being a team that's similar to where the Titans are in terms of rebuilding and restructuring.
Yeah.
I would argue the Vikings are in a similar place just a year down the road. When you talk about their general manager coming from San Francisco and working with Rand Carthon.
Sure.
You look at the subtractions they've made even 2 years into their rebuild and into a new regime. They've moved on from Eric Kendricks, Adam Thielen, and Dalvin Cook, all just in this offseason.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are some heavy names right there.
And their quarterback situation is similar, right?
Yes,
because
it is.
they don't
Kirk
really
Cousins.
know what the future is of Kirk Cousins. And it looks like he's more so going to be on the way out than staying there long term.
And they've actually set him up to not stay
Right.
there as far as
Right.
no weapons around him, right? I mean, Justin Jefferson's cold-blooded, but boy.
Yeah, right. And that's the difference is they found a way to make it work with their premier wide receiver. The Titans shipped theirs to Philadelphia.
Yep.
Come on, Will.
Spot the lie.
But it's, I mean,
Is it under the table over there?
but we're going to use it until
Is it
it
in your
gets
water bottle?
fixed, right?
I know.
Anyway.
It's tough.
Jeffrey Simmons is recruiting DeAndre Hopkins. Jeffrey Simmons had a really good conversation on NFL Network yesterday, advocating for the team that obviously gave him a bag this offseason. We'll hear from him coming up when we come back, as well as Kayla's observations for the practice field. As we've got an early morning Titans practice today with 10:30. The time they'll get on the field coming up in just over an hour. All that and more as we continue in hour 4 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. We found Will Smith by looking for his Fresh Prince. I love this song.
I do too.
This is what Lionel Messi is singing today.
When I was 19, a fresh young face kid in Miami stealing people's beers off the bar, this song was on repeat.
Was it?
Funny thing is, I went to Miami when I was 18. I was on a mission trip. And I was playing this song.
Place to go on a mission trip.
Totally different path.
I was on a church trip where we would do a bunch of stuff around there for a week, and I played this song nonstop. By the way, I did just see this on Twitter on the Miami subject. Because they signed Lionel Messi yesterday, which we hadn't talked about, and
have not
It's
yet.
huge, though.
If the DeAndre Hopkins stuff hadn't happened, we probably would have spent a little more time on it. But this is interesting because this is compared to every other team in American pro sports. So since Inter Miami, the MLS team in Miami, signed Lionel Messi, Inter Miami has gained 4.2 million Instagram followers in the last 24
Holy
hours.
smokes.
Inter Miami is now the most followed United States professional sports team on Instagram, ahead of any NFL, MLB, NHL, or MLS team. Legitimately.
Holy smokes.
That's the poll of the biggest athlete in the world who now plays in Miami.
Global.
And it's not even close. He is the biggest athlete in the world.
That's nuts.
He turned down $1.6 billion in over 3 years to come to the United States. And we'll play Nashville SC on August 30th.
Yeah. Can we say Miami is having a year?
They really are.
I mean, flex Miami.
Florida Panthers.
Heat.
Miami Heat.
Panthers is a hockey team, Maron,
Brooks
if you
Koepka.
weren't knowing.
I
An
knew
NHL
that
team, to
I
be
know
exact.
it now. It don't look like they're going to win it all either.
Brooks Koepka winning the PGA Championship. He counts as a Miami guy, too, because he's a Florida man.
Yep. He is.
Jeez. The Dolphins
And now this.
looking like they're going to at least have a good team on paper.
Yeah, Tua's healthy.
Yeah.
Miami buying quarterbacks for $14 million.
I was being sarcastic on that.
What did Tua do in the offseason again?
Judo.
He learned
Judo.
jujitsu.
Yep. Come on.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
I can't say it.
Jiu-jitsu.
To learn how to fall down.
To learn how to fall down.
Learn how to fall well.
And have
Right.
a strong neck.
Usually that only happens at Liberty University. Fall well.
I thought you were going
What?
to say strong necks.
Fall well is the family at Liberty University.
Now that we would have not
Controversial
known,
one.
probably. I didn't know.
Jerry
that,
Falwell?
actually. Well, now that you're saying
He's
it,
been in
okay.
the news recently.
Yeah, I guess.
Don't look that up on a work browser.
Yeah, it's. I
Jerry
do,
Falwell
I
stuff
do
is
know
not
the
great.
story, though.
It's
Will.
what you can't. It's like a national story, but
Is it like the South Carolina family? Is it like them?
I'm not as familiar with random pop culture stories as you are.
There
Mo.
was
You know this
no
about me.
murder mystery involved. It's
the
more-
Murdochs.
No, Will,
Murdochs
no,
are Fox.
Ramon. No.
No.
Not that. Not that
not
bad.
like that, Kayla.
Right.
Okay, I got
Yeah.
you. I got you. That
I
makes
love
sense.
your murder mystery random things you bring up sometimes.
Hey,
It's
that was
great.
a serious thing. That family ran that town for years.
I don't know how y'all like that stuff. My girlfriend, I'll come home and she'll be watching shows like Woman Kills Her Husband and Gets Away with It.
I don't go that far.
And I'm like,
10
what
out
are
of
you?
10.
I'm like, come on. No, there's like a show about that. Like, you
There's a
almost got-
channel about it.
Almost got it. She listens to Murder Mystery podcast on like
Yeah.
1.5 times speed.
Wow.
Oh.
Because they slow it down naturally to make it more intriguing. But she's like, no, give me the gore. Give it to me. I need it.
It's the Parks and Rec, like when they're making the commercial about Bobby Newport in the campaign. It's like, Bobby Newport hasn't had a real job in his life.
Yeah.
104.5.
The Zone. It all comes full
I
circle.
suggest you go watch a little bit of the Unsolved Mysteries sometime then.
It scares me. I
scares me,
can't,
too.
man. I go to sleep before she does. Like she can do whatever she wanted to, and I am aloof to most things. Like she'll change things around the house. She could put something like a rollerblade in front of the stairs or something. I would never know.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
with you on that one.
That's
dark.
great.
That is.
So Jeffrey Simmons is trying to do his best to recruit DeAndre Hopkins. Mike
Okay.
Vrabel says he is not recruiting. He did that in college. Well, Jeffrey Simmons is. This was him on NFL Network yesterday talking about sliding in the DMs of D-Hop.
We already know what news broke earlier today that, DeAndre Hopkins, the wide receiver, may be taking a visit, man. Like, you got a recruiting pitch for him? You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, it's crazy because I didn't know until today, and then of course, like I already sent the DM, like, come on with it. You already know what's up. So, just that I know, the type of player he is, being able to play against him and get ready to play against him, just to watch the film and, okay, DeAndre Hopkins, that's the guy we got to stop. And just everyone have a lot of respect for DeAndre Hopkins. He's been around the game for a long time, and just his playmaking, his ability, and I'm sure just his leadership and what type of teammate he is, the reason why everybody want him on their team. So, I would love him on our team. Hopefully I see him around while he's in town. But man, it'd be love to have him on our team to help us, and not to rebuild, to help us get some win this year.
Well, so there's Jeffrey Simmons with music that sounds like you're in a South Beach club.
I'm going to start doing that to
1
y'all.
a.m.
Just
Will you
randomly
please?
when you talk, just
I'm with
bring
that.
hype music up underneath you.
Because then we'll get a little groove to us in the
Which
chat at
stops
least.
abruptly, by the way.
It
It
did.
just runs off a cliff at the end.
It was weird.
I'm with that 100%.
But that's Jeffrey Simmons talking about recruiting DeAndre Hopkins on NFL media. I think it is cool. We talked about this before he signed his deal, that as soon as Jeffrey Simmons was locked in long-term with the Titans, that's the face of your franchise now for the foreseeable future as you build a new stadium. And Jeffrey Simmons and big number 98 should be the first guy with his picture on the outside of a brand new stadium.
Yep.
In 2027. I think it is cool now that the Titans have a homegrown star after Derrick Henry, who is now the next face of being that guy, the guy that's going to publicly recruit, the guy that's going to be just the public face of this organization.
Mm-hmm. It was good to kind of hear him, be on NFL Network.
Yeah.
To understand the scenario, what was going on, too. And for Jeff to already have hopped in them DMs before he went on NFL Live right there, that's good stuff, man. And again, it's just a situation to where if you listen to what he said, he was like, not help us rebuild, but help us win games.
That's
That's
right.
the most crucial thing a guy like that can do for the Tennessee Titans. D-Hop, you're sold.
Robert, that was great.
Walsh.
Bert, that was great. I loved that. I think that would make me get my point across better. Just having a little oomph behind it. No, I like how Big Jeff was honest. I'm doing this. I'm getting out here. He's one of the best players out there on the free agency market. We need some guys, right?
Yeah.
You can always have depth, but especially at that position right now. And if I am D-Hop, I'm also listening to Big Jeff. That guy is somebody who's earned the respect in the business. And you know what? If I got a leader like that, he's bringing the energy every day on the defense. Look, D-Hop, you want to come in. You want to add that energy on the offense. You want to be that dog in the offense.
615-737-1045.
Great
If you want to make a point and have Robert Walsh play music behind it.
This is a good
It does
game.
feel like we're on a TV show.
It does.
Because it's in the business B-roll of when they show highlights of a player while someone on NFL Network or ESPN is talking about that player and they show
Right.
music behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like we're simulcasting. We're just one of those radio shows that's on television.
Yep.
That we're just being simulcast.
What a stupid thing we do.
It is, but we think it's funny. Hopefully others do as well.
I think it's hysterical.
Yeah, as long as we're laughing.
I know.
It's our thing, and I love it. But let's go real quick too. How real do y'all actually think this is?
I think it has to be somewhat real. I really do.
Percentages, were you 70-30?
So I'm going to go, let's go 60-40.
60-40.
Yeah.
I was going to say 55. I think the first visit and the fact that right now all we know is that DeAndre is coming to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we learn today that, okay, there's a tour of visits and he's going to be in Cleveland next week and then he's going to be in Buffalo after that and Kansas City, then maybe that drops down to about 40%.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, my hunch is that DeAndre Hopkins ends up being a Titan. Plus, you have the Mike Florio report that we haven't even mentioned back on draft night.
Go ahead.
When the Cardinals and Titans were reportedly talking about a trade for the Titans to move up.
Yep.
And DeAndre Hopkins was reportedly a part of that trade.
I thought about that too.
That was my knee-jerk reaction yesterday is maybe that report wasn't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we haven't asked that question, guys. Does this give validity to the fact that the Titans did try to move up inside the top 5 to take a different quarterback.
Well, there was so much rumbles around that conversation. Like, there was a portion of the night where I thought we was going to have to transition to broadcasting to actually talking about a trade.
Sure.
Who moved up?
Well, it was
Houston.
moved back
Houston
up.
moved up in their spot, right?
In Arizona
spot. And I think that's probably what ended up taking it over the edge, or actually water under the bridge at that point right there. There may have been more to that, y'all. And, I forgot all about that. I mean, we were out there.
I was thinking about that last night.
Just like, okay, this is a real thing. I was getting tweets about it when my Twitter was up. Like, the conversation was about us potentially having to talk about that. That was real.
And I think we were hearing afterwards that was a real talk. It wasn't like that wasn't real. I think that was still a thing. Queen Teresa, our girl, I think it's 80-20 real. They have a need, and they can find a way to pay him.
And
it's Teresa Walker, our girl. Our woman.
Wow.
I just feel like if you're taking visits in June, you're probably ending up with the place you're visiting.
Yeah.
If you take visits in March, then you're likely one of the biggest names on the market, and you're going to go 3 or 4 different places.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what Adam Schefter has said on his podcast as well, the market is perhaps not as big as the assumption was that it was going to be.
I think that's what you're getting, too.
Yeah.
The age will always scare GMs. It
of course.
will.
Sure.
It just does. It's part of it. And, of course, figuring out how he fits into your team. The contenders, I think, for the most part, have they wide receiver 1, right? And you always want more. You always want more, man. But, again, stats matter. Money matter. And, of course, chasing the ring.
Yep.
I love to know what this offense is going to look like. I think you almost forced the hand of Tim Kelly to be useful of guys like Traylon, to be useful of guys like DeAndre with that opportunity to open it up a little bit. And I'm thinking forward too about the season. Trevor Lawrence is going to throw the ball.
Oh yeah.
And if your run game isn't working the way you need it to, you need to be able to spin the ball through the air too as the Tennessee Titans. That's your number one competition. I don't know what they're going to do in Indy this year. I think they're going to be more competitive, but this is a 2-team race in the AFC South to me, and I think DeAndre helps you. The one thing you want in the NFL is just a shot. You want a ticket to the show. I don't care if you crawl in there or you run into the playoffs. Get me to the playoffs, and the best way to do it, as always, is winning your division.
Yep.
The Tennessee Titans were one bad fumble away from beating Trevor Lawrence in his building to win the division.
And that was after a skid.
Right, with Josh Dobbs at quarterback.
Yep.
A difference maker like DeAndre Hopkins could legitimately be the margin for being back up there with Jacksonville at the top of the AFC South, or having zero margin for error where one big mistake kills you again like it did last season.
Yeah.
Because the Titans were good enough to win that game on defense against Trevor Lawrence a season ago. And I've been workshopping a take that I think we as a sports media in the NFL have overvalued what Trevor Lawrence is right now.
You think so?
I absolutely do. I think we've overrated Trevor a little bit. He had a good year last year. He had over 4,000 yards. He had 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, completed 66% of his passes. I think we've corrected, though, to the fact that he's on a rookie deal, so the window is open.
Yeah.
Without actually having the conversation of, is he really on the same level as Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and those top-tier guys? I don't think he's close to that level.
And I think it helped that even be magnified even more, his success last year, because he had none of it in year one.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And so then you look at the difference in year 2 without Urban at the helm, and you're like, oh, wow, this guy is balling. This guy's the next big thing. We all knew he was going to be a big deal once he got to this level.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of helped magnetize it even more just because of how he didn't do anything in that year 1.
Man, it's I tell you what, this does help everything surrounding this situation, though, Kayla. Like a 2 wide receiver team. When was the last time they had this?
Well,
AJ and Corey.
AJ and Corey.
Can we?
They did. It was the exact same thing. It was you've got a 1A and 1B. A productive one. I mean, when they were healthy, they were fine. But yeah, Corey and AJ for an entire season.
Because Corey was almost 1,000 yards with AJ.
Was it like 970 something?
It was so close.
Mistaken?
Yeah, he was like one catch away against Houston in that Week 17 game from having 1,000. Let's go to Chuck in Clarksville up next as we begin to wrap things up here this morning. What's up, Chuck?
What's up, Chuck?
Hey, guys. Hey, just a thought. I mean, there is kind of some higher people in Nissan Stadium Sunday night, like maybe a Tim McGraw and a Faith Hill that might want to talk to DeAndre, maybe a Kerry and Mike. I mean, there's some higher people in Nashville that might be at Nissan Stadium Sunday that might be a little influence on D-Hop. What do you think?
The city sells
I like
itself.
it, Chuck.
I'll say that.
Sells itself.
I don't think that you even have to do anything on terms of what the city provides for any athlete, right?
Yeah, no, I'll be completely honest with y'all too. The city, I don't think it necessarily matters as it does matter, but he's been in Houston and
I'm just
AZ.
saying.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying.
It will sell itself.
We get
It
Lil
doesn't,
Durk
it doesn't
in town.
help, or it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt at all. You're right.
Doesn't
It's
hurt
not.
at all,
It's
right?
not Cleveland. It's not Green Bay.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah,
I think Tim McCall would matter more than Tim McGraw.
So I'm sorry, you guys. There's a caller who thought that was real.
Oh,
No
my
way.
gosh.
Called in on Buck's
Called
show.
into Buck and
And was
complained
like,
about it.
What's
Well, this
going
week,
on?
guys, you can go to the Nashville Zoo and check out Tim McCall.
He literally said, I went
I
to the
love
zoo
it.
and Tim McGraw was not. He was dead
He
serious,
had
you
to pay
guys.
for parking and
Yeah,
everything.
and Buck had no clue what was going on. And I was sitting there rolling in the car,
You got to use this new thing called Google, guys.
right?
Check it out. And can you imagine him being in line at the zoo and he was
No.
probably like, where is everybody at? What? Tim McGraw. I'm going to get to meet Tim McGraw.
It's
y'all.
legitimately,
Oh,
it's the longest running promo for the Nashville Zoo that I can remember. Of like since I was a kid in this city, on the buses you would see, come see Tim McCall, and it was a picture of a parrot with a sign of like, go to the Nashville Zoo. There was another one. I don't remember what it was. But they brought him back. Like I saw it on a bus a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh,
Well, guess what? It's working, Will.
It is.
yeah, you're welcome. Nashville Zoo.
Give him
Hit us up.
Give him an endorsement.
I'll do a show there.
Dude, I'm telling you. Have you been there, man? They have
Yeah.
this prairie dog exhibit.
I'm
would
sorry,
wanna
what?
sit-
No, you can go in the little thing, and you're so okay.
Wait.
There's like a little
them a picture.
there's a little desert. Yeah, going into my play-by-play verbal imagery here. There's
Break
a little
down
like
prairie
desert
dog.
thing, and they're prairie dogs, and they made a little like gopher hole kind of thing where you can go underneath the habitat, and you can duck down below this little awning, and you can stand back up in like an enclosed gopher hole thing, and you're watching on the same level. You're like 1
Okay.
foot off the ground with these little
Wow.
prairie dogs that are running around. Look, we're in the summer
Wow.
right now. These are the kind of activities that like you go to any like day camp. Like parents both worked growing up. Like I would go to like a day camp at one of the schools in the area, or like we go to church. We had like this thing called Terrific Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Where every Tuesday they would like take us to a different place, and at the end you'd go to like a theme park in the area, like Nashville Shores or something like that. No free shout outs. And the zoo was always one of them. That's the first place I would go, is to the prairie dogs, where you can look and like be on the same level of them and try to get them to like freak out or
That's
scare
pretty
them.
funny.
My intrusive thoughts
Anyway.
every time we go, I'm like, I want to lean over and grab one and just throw it in my girlfriend's purse so bad. Come on,
Are
Diggy,
we
just live
talking
with
about
me.
the same thing here?
Come on, just take the prairie dog with me.
They're kind of cute.
I'd give him a place to live. I'd make him a little enclosure.
Are they like squirrels?
Little enclosure.
Yeah, kind of like squirrels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like squirrels.
Hey, I have never been bitten by a prairie dog. I would like to add them to the list.
Literally in my friends group text right now, the discussion is like, we should like go to the zoo.
That's a good
I
time.
kind of want to do this
Be
now.
fun.
It's a great value, by
Well,
the
the
way.
weather's
Yeah.
perfect
It's
to
fun.
go now.
See Tim McCall.
I know.
Yeah.
Coming up next, the University of Wisconsin at Madison is proposing a job at their school that I am interested in. I'm not going to apply for other jobs. I have one here that I like. So maybe the haters and losers will apply there for me. But there is a job that I think would be really fun. A dream job, perhaps, one might say.
I'd love to hear it.
Tell you what it is. As we wrap up the show next on 104.5 The Zone. One final segment this morning of RKW, powered by all 4 seasons garage doors. The Buck Rising Show is up next. Mike Vrabel meets with the media in 10 minutes. You can hear portions of that coming up next as Buck and Lucas take over the airwaves. And Titans players will meet with the media at the podium and after practice at 12:15 today. You'll be able to hear all of that and more coming up. So there is a, what'd you say? I think your mic isn't totally
Your mic
on
is
yet.
on, but it's not sound.
Go ahead.
I'm talking.
Oh, there it
That
goes.
was weird. Yeah.
It was because we were recording stuff.
Oh,
in the
that's
break.
right.
Yeah.
I think we are. I told you yesterday we might get. We are supposed to get him at the podium.
Really?
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
just
a
to let you all know.
bit of a surprise. Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
So I now have interest in a job at the University of Wisconsin-Madison
Mhm.
that is hiring professional cheese eaters.
Oh, count me in, Will. Can I do this too?
The Center for Dairy Research is looking for individuals passionate about all types of food, but especially cheese, pizza, and other dairy products. Once hired, they will train you to become part of an expert group of tasters capable of verbally describing their sensory experience on the basis of appearance, texture, taste, and aroma attributes for research and product development purposes. So this is crazy. Panelists should expect to be tasting up to 24 cheese samples and 12 pizzas a week, along with other food products. Wow. Panelists would need to be available for 3-hour consecutive periods and up to 3 sessions per week.
Wow.
So, University of Wisconsin will pay you to eat 12 pizzas per week, apparently.
And cheese. I'm all about the cheese.
The
part.
year of our Lord, 2023.
I actually wanted to tell you guys I applied for another job, and I'm also
You're
going to be
in?
leaving. The Preds need a new Zamboni driver.
Oh, baby.
Interesting.
And I think Bert's Boney
Oh my God.
sounds incredible.
Oh.
It's so
I would love to put some stickers on the back of that thing. And I heard that you get free catfish working there. People just throw
You can't
fish
eat
at you.
them.
Oh, my
Hey,
gosh.
Hear me out, man. I
my
feel like the
gosh.
Zamboni driver should have more entertainment. Yes, Bert, 100%. Only if you can have a side cart with me on it.
I'm down. Dude!
Those things are kind of like,
Come on, man.
you're pretty high up.
It don't matter.
Have you driven
And there's
one?
no railing on the side. No, I haven't driven one,
There-
but like the
I
seat
said I
they
had
put
on my
people up
resume.
in.
Dude, if you fall off one of
I
those
know.
things,
That's what I'm saying.
good
I'm
luck
trying to get
not
workman's
breaking
comp.
things.
I'm willing to risk it with Bert.
Did I tell you all
I'm
about how
willing to
I
risk it.
hurt myself on the ice of Bridgestone Arena once?
Did you
No.
really?
Never told this story before.
Let's hear it.
In 2015, my cross-country team in high school won the state championship, and 3 of us who were seniors were chosen to do an on-ice intermission contest
Oh, yeah.
where they do like, the Preds are really cool about this. They do like salute to state champions
Yeah.
all year, where they'll have different state championship winning high school teams from Middle Tennessee to like come and be recognized over the course of the entire season. This was actually the last season the Preds didn't make the playoffs. This year, where they were clearly scraping the bottom of the barrel if they were having a cross-country team from Middle Tennessee to come out and be recognized. All the football and basketball, all the good sports were taken. So they went to us, and we did a tricycle race on the ice. Ice is slippery. This just in.
When?
And
Yeah.
so one of my buddies, one of my teammates, like lapped me and my other friend because at the first turn I couldn't turn, and I went full speed into
the
like
wall.
my friend's tricycle and like upended him. So it was like kind of bumper cars meets like ice tricycles. And it did not go well. I literally had a race like the next Saturday because track season's in the spring, and I like legitimately was like had a big bruise and was like I was probable. I still raced.
Yeah. I was going to say, did you sign waivers?
I
Be
would have
like,
made the injury report.
Okay,
Right?
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah.
You can't get me on the ice doing this stuff like that. Absolutely
It's
not.
so hard to walk on. Skating is one thing,
Yeah.
but really to walk on the ice.
Yeah. Nah.
We played broom ball a lot in college.
Yeah.
Broom
So did
ball.
we.
Broom ball's really fun.
It's really fun.
Broom ball is basically you don't have skates, and instead of a puck, you're using like Kayla, what's the best way to describe it? It's like
It's like
little
a-
hockey
yeah.
sticks. It's like youth hockey sticks,
Yes.
but like a small youth soccer ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can kick the ball also, but we would play like 20 against 20, and
It's
like the
so
entire
fun.
ice would just be full. It was like
Oh,
a fraternity
my.
event we did.
On ice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just running around on ice with no skates.
Yep.
At one point, I took a bad fall, and if I hadn't been wearing like a hood, but like underneath the hockey jersey I was wearing, like my head would have been in two pieces.
We should wear helmets.
I think we did have helmets on.
I was going to say, I think I wore a helmet.
Golly, Will.
It's good times. But anyway, yeah, Bert's Bonies.
Bert's Bonies.
There you go. Bert on the Zamboni. That'd be a good job for you.
Hire me.
You would
Preds,
rock
bring it on. I need an extra job.
That'd be pretty good, man.
That ice better be straight, though. Let me tell you that much.
Hey, if you got me on the bony, ain't got nothing
Right?
to worry about.
Appreciate Coach Mack joining
Boney
us
and
this
the bun.
morning. I don't know what just happened the last 4 hours, but we will be back at it again tomorrow morning. Brent Hubbs of VolQuest back on the show once again. We got Tennessee Super Regionals to discuss. We're going to get into some of the financials on the way the Titans could make room for DeAndre Hopkins. And we hope always that you make room for words of wisdom from one Ramon Foster in your life.
You must remember, okay? Your IG Live, your Twitter fingers if you have access to it, and your mic is always hot.